Alright, okay, just as a recap, you had started riding down from Pavis. You are heading towards Horngate, where the Duke will go off to buy labourers for the fort that he's currently building. You have all got 2 zebras as part of your mercenary contract, so you do have a riding zebra that you can change. They're identical to horses, but out in the plains of Prax, horses are considered to be taboo, so they're killed. They're not even eaten; they're just killed and left to rot. So any sensible man swaps them for zebras. And you're riding south to Horngate. Now it's taken a couple of days, and one thing you have noticed is if you want to give me some insight rolls, people, it will be on your character sheet. It's not going to be on your hotbar.
Insight.
I see we're starting as we mean to go on tonight, eh? Right, okay. Well, in that case, all you notice is Alan seems to be very popular with all of the other mercenaries and the soldiers. As they walk past him, and of course Mr. Quack Tavish succeeds. Okay, Rhys, when you succeed at a skill, on your character sheet there's a little tick box next to the skill. If you tick that, that means you get a chance to improve it at the end of the adventure.
Ah, nice.
Right, so you basically, all of you notice that the soldiers and the other guards, every time Alan walks past, because he's a little working lad, he carries water, he feeds the horses. They walk past, they're either giving him bits of food, they're patting him on the head. Andy, you notice he's starting to exude some weird level of charisma. Everybody's got a good word for him. They're all giving him bits of extra food. They're not doing him any favours, but everybody seems to be really nice to him.
I'll wait till we get a quiet moment so we can be on our own, and I'll mention this to the rest of the party.
Oh, that's interesting. We should test to see what it can convince people to do.
Oh God!
Oh, well done.
Right. Well, that's not going to kick us. That's not going to kick us, is it?
I won't miss you. Yeah, I absolutely will.
Right. It's going to take approximately 4 days to ride down to Horngate. Yeah, so you have plenty of time. You've met the other guards and the other mercenaries, and you start hanging about with Krish, who's a travelling skald, mainly because Andy does love a good karaoke night, and to be honest, you're on a flat plain. It's kind of like the Wild West, where...
Wasn't it Quackioke?
Quackioke, yes. But now you've got some musical accompaniment, so you naturally gravitate together. So after a few days, you've formed quite a bond amongst all of the other people.
All right yourself, lad. You're a singer, aye?
This is you, Rhys.
Who are we talking about? What?
Earl's introducing himself in character. He's getting to know you.
Hello. Are you willing to listen to my greatest song?
Go for it, Lee.
All right.
Right, so what you do is you roll your musicianship skill.
Hang on. Can't find it. Hang on. I don't have that skill. Hang on, I can't find that.
It should be play instrument, sorry. It'd
It's
be
under manipulation
manipulation.
in the middle, I think.
There you go. That's what I can't find it.
right. So that succeeds. So that gives you a plus 20%. So then when you roll your singing skill, you roll your singing skill now, and you'll have a bonus of 20% because you played the instrument so well. Right. So that's 90%. So that's a special success. So tick both your singing and your play instrument skills to say that you can increase them. Right.
I'm going to sing along.
Yeah, I shall join in as well. When I can find singing. Where's singing? Oh, there it is. Sorry.
You love a good singing, you do.
Oh, God.
And I'll naturally just sigh at Codan singing.
I succeeded, thank you very much. And second of all, should I? We're working for a Lunar, right? So I shouldn't put the greatest sort of right. Do you know?
Cold Wind Over Sata.
Wind Over Sata.
No, no, you shouldn't be singing Cold Wind Over Sata. If even a few notes of it start to waft over, Dane will come over and just go. Dane's the giant humanity death lord who's leading all of the mercenaries.
I look over to Rowling at Quacktavish, and upon hearing his absolutely disgusting voice, sigh and walk away.
See, ducks love to sing. Unfortunately, they're not very good at it. However, Andy's getting pretty good. You've just caught him on an off day. He's got a bit of a sore beak, I think.
Yeah, don't ask us why.
It's that beak rot. So, we just have to behave ourselves essentially and not cause any trouble.
Yes, you have to behave yourselves, not cause any trouble. Dane will train Alan as a squire, and basically keep him out of trouble. And all you got to do is follow the Duke's orders for a year, earn some fat cash. I mean, what could go wrong?
Sounds easy.
Right, so you travel for 2 days through the desolate wastes, and on the second day you see a party of nomads riding towards you. As they get closer, you see that they are high llama riders, which are literally giant llamas, carrying long spears, and they ride out towards you. Did you vote that Ryan was in charge, him being the humanity?
Yes.
You did.
Oh, God, yeah.
So Dane comes to you, Ryan. He says, well, it's about time you started earning your leader's share, isn't it? So you'd be nominated the Duke's man in this discussion.
Okay.
They ride forward. They've got their weapons down, so they're not in attack position, which is the usual way that you approach a party that you're not meaning to fight. And there's 5 giant llama riders carrying lances, and their wicked, curved, brutal-looking swords ride out towards you.
I'll kind of go towards the, I don't know, the, like, foremost of the party to, like, contact them first when they get there.
Right. The party all ride up to you as a group. They don't seem to nominate one, and the one roughly in the middle shouts out, "Ho, stranger!"
Hello there.
He says, "We're looking for one of our brothers. He's gone missing. Have you perhaps seen him?"
Not from what I recall, but I'm sure if we do, we could, I don't know, send him your way.
He says, "Thank you, brother. I will be myself and my tribe will be greatly in your debt."
Of course, it's not a problem. Do you have any information on his, like, last known whereabouts or anything?
No, he was out on the hunt and he did not return. We've been unable to track him.
Okay.
Unable to track him, you say?
He was over towards the river. hunting some of the more plentiful game, but we've been unable to look him.
Well, I'm sure we've got a quite experienced tracker here who can probably track him down.
He says, well, if you do track him down, then you would earn our gratitude.
That's fantastic. Yeah, we'll look into it when we.
Right. So they wave you a salute, and they head off. And then
Okay.
you head back to the party, and Dane's standing there, and he says, well, you managed to get through that without killing anybody?
Well, yeah, but I mean, I was itching to kill someone there, so it was tough.
Can I check? Can I familiarise myself with high llama tracks while that's happening on me, and Doug will have a good look around?
You certainly can. You take Doug, have a look, and you take a look at the tracks. They look like llama tracks, but bigger. Other than that, obviously you report that they're looking for a high llama rider, and you continue to head south. Halfway through the next day, you come to an area of plains, and it looks very unusual. About 200 meters across, there is a massive circular disturbance in the dirt of the floor. It looks kind of as if there was a whirlpool in the dirt. So if you can imagine, like waves radiating out from the center, and it slopes slightly down towards the center, but it's about 200 meters wide.
I've heard of this, guys. It's a Sarlacc pit.
It's only basically about 6 inches deep, but there's a definite slope going down.
Is it moving?
No, it's just it's the dirt. The dirt has been disturbed in a strange circular pattern.
Well, this looks suspicious. Are there any rocks around?
Yeah, you'll find rocks, scrubs, sticks.
I'll pick up a rock and throw it in.
Right. It lands in the swirly area, and it sinks in as if the ground's still loose, where it looks as if it may have been churned up.
Weird.
I think it's just safe to avoid that.
Does it look like a giant bird had a bird bath here? A dust bath?
No.
Can I make a world law rule?
There's you literally wouldn't have heard of this phenomenon. You could ask Dane or one of the other locals.
Lads, has anyone seen anything like this before?
He says, one of the lads shouts, I'm from around here, and he went, no, but he said there were some old ruins here. They're they're only a couple of mud bricks high. They weren't even worth sheltering, but there was a big old ruin, the size of a big manor house, and the bricks are just gone.
How
that
strange.
doesn't bode well. There's a housey monster about.
Thinking to myself, I think perhaps this is a good idea to maybe get Alan to try and convince someone to walk in.
Alan! By the way, sorry, Chris, you don't know Alan's secret identity. He's just a little kid. He's Earl's nephew or adopted son or something. It's not quite clear. You've asked him, and you're sure he's answered you, but you're never quite sure why you can't pin down what exact relation he is to him.
When we were young.
It's an an ancient Celtic civilization. So it's not uncommon for like sisters to foster out their children to their brothers to be trained as warriors, because in Sartorite society everybody fights. You have your normal day job and then you fight as well. But it's some obscure family relationship that you're not quite sure of. And well, Andy's let you know that he's got some kind of weird charisma, basically. People seem to like him. I take it you haven't revealed the loss.
He's taken after his star. Women love me. Sort of.
No, I haven't let slip his sacred identity.
Well, Dane rides forward and he goes, "What's the hold up?"
There's a kind of sink in the floor. Apparently a rune used to be there, but it's not there anymore.
I think someone's got the cleaners in while we're out.
And he said, "Well, they've done a good job to ride all the way out here in the middle of nowhere. Actually, 7 miles south of the arsehole of nowhere to dig up a few bricks."
I think it's magic.
I think it's the biggest trapdoor spider we'll ever see.
I mean, I figure
Or
we
not
should
see.
just avoid it and go around it.
That's for Scotland.
Right, okay then, you ride around the outside. Like I said, it's only about 200 metres. It's just weirdly, like, perfectly
I'm
circular.
stringing my bow and keeping an eye on this thing. I don't trust sand.
Okay.
Well, it's
Certainly not Ripley sand.
You see? He gets it.
it's like, it's not what you see, it's what you don't see. That's what's the scary thing. And the rest of the day, it passes without incident. There's no big giant scary trapdoor spiders leap out and attempt to eat you or anything like that. There's plenty of time. You're basically riding ahead, you're keeping the scan out, you've got time if there's anything you want to do or anybody you want to talk to, but other than that, the group just slowly plods towards Horngate and reaches Horngate, which is kind of the biggest settlement in the area. But it's not like anywhere near the scale of Pavis or Bolthorn, places that you've been before. It's more like a big town. There is a Chalnataroi temple here, which is rare, but a welcome sight. Chalnataroi is the god of healing, and she basically gets all the big ass healing spells. She gets, their priests get resurrection, regrow limb, so you can do a Deadpool and have a little tiny hand on the end of your arm and things like that. But they wear white robes and they are sworn pacifists. They're not allowed to hurt anybody. The only possible exception is chaos, but even then it's a last resort. 99% of all people will not fight a Chalnataroi cultist, because basically if you attack a priest you don't get no healing. But there's temples to all of the Sartorite gods, although this area is actually technically under lunar control, as is most of the place. They're kind of like the ancient Persians, so as long as you pay your taxes and you send your required number of men to go and fight in the army, you can worship what god you want, you can do whatever you want. It's a very open society, basically. So you arrive at Horngate. It's like I said, medium-sized town, but with several temples. You can basically have a shop montage if there's anything you want to buy.
Where's the nearest inn?
There's a couple of inns, very popular with the locals, and because of the Chalnataroi temple, you get quite a lot of transient travellers. Obviously, most of this place is just a big plain, but sooner or later, everybody heads through Horngate.
Took the words right out of me, Bake. Pint?
Pint?
Pint? Oh, wait a minute. Gaffer, are we on duty?
He says no. He says the Duke has to go and arrange to buy labourers. He'll be here the entire next day, so you basically have a day off, says Dane. You are, however, wearing the Duke's tabards and representing the Duke, so please do not do anything that would dishonour him or cause him to be looked on down by the locals. You seem to notice the Duke doesn't really talk to anybody. He does all his talking through Dane. But if you would like to give me some more insight rolls, or not, as the case may be.
Insight.
Hey, give us the opportunity to fail first, okay?
So it's going to be more of a half a shandy evening then.
Yes, it is.
Great.
Right, so you've known noblemen, you've known noblemen of your own tribesmen, and although the Duke seems aloof, he is giving out decent pay. He's giving people decent food. He seems to be a generally okay guy, but he will only talk to his immediate bodyguards and Dane. He never really fraternises with the locals.
Okay.
So basically,
he's either a decent guy or he's up to something.
this is a good opportunity because you're in a local place. Remember, you got 500 lunars worth of training. If you could advise, if you could advise Chris, he may want to get some more spirit magic while he's here, because he's a little light compared to the others.
What weapon do you fight with, lad?
He's one of those weird ones. He fights with a broadsword and a shield.
You want to get yourself a bit of protection and a bit of blade sharp, and mobility's good for running down your enemies or avoiding them in a fast rearward move.
Where would you suggest I go for those things?
Well, you go to your temple. At Horngate, there's most temples to most gods. You will go to your temple. You will pay the donation, and then they teach you the spell. They summon a spirit of the spell, and then you have to overcome in combat. But we're just doing a shopping montage to avoid all that. So basically, yes, you can have a number of points in spirit magic equal to your charisma. So you can have 14 points of spirit magic. At the moment, you've got 5 because you've got glamour, which costs 2, healing 2, and protection 1.
I would pick up blade sharp too and get another point of protection at least. Protection's good.
I'll do that then.
Protection basically gives you magical armor. So when you are hit, you roll your damage. It's generally 1d8 plus 1 for a broadsword, and then your armor. If you've got 4 points of armor in, that stops 4 points of damage. So because you're only a poor traveller, you've only got 3-point armor, so you don't have a lot.
I'll get that then.
I will go to my temple with Dag, do the whole praying business, ask around if there's anything I should know about the locale, and then ask the priest at the temple if, since he's follows a hunter god, if he's heard of anything like that big thing we saw in the south.
Right, okay then. You can give me an intrigue roll if you're asking around for rumors. Does anybody remember how many points mobility is?
Not offhand.
I think it's 1 per point, isn't it? A 6 point, goes up to 6, like blade sharp and stuff.
I am
How's that how it
intrigued.
used to go?
Yeah, it's 1 point.
Wow, okay, is intrigued. Right, all you can find out is there's an old man who's sitting in the back of one of the taverns, and they've said, you want to go speak to old one-eye smelly Bob there, give him a pint. So you take him a pint, and he tells you a story saying, oh, there's some giant chaos monster coming out of Durasta. I'm telling you, it's in the sands.
Durasta. That's like the other side of the world.
Ah, he says, tell you what it is, I feel it in my water.
Okay. I'll buy him another beer. There you go, madman. Have another drink on me.
He says, thank you, young'un. Yeah, thank you. He says, watch where you're standing, because they react to the sounds of when you're walking.
Shy, hello.
Right, okay, Chris, I've updated some of your spells. You go to the temple, you pray. It's obviously, you know, absolutely free to do all of this, so you therefore give your mandatory donation, because there's never a poor priest. Never a poor priest. They teach you some new magics, and you come back to the pub where most of them are sitting. Although Cruden seems to have sloped off to do his own thing. Is there anything else you would like to do while you're in Horngate overnight?
No, apart from play for the people of the tavern.
Right, well, if you would like to make a music roll, are you just going to play music?
If he's playing, I'm singing.
Yeah, go for it.
While these are doing this, I'm going to slope off to the slave market to watch how the gaffer interacts with the slave market.
Right, okay. And
Oh, God. Oh, no. No.
right, okay. Chris, you make about 5 Lunars worth with your excellent playing until Mr. Cracktavish comes on, starts belting out in his best duck singing voice to the point where people start booing and throwing rotten vegetables and bits of sausage and hurling insults at him. He has to take a sharp retreat off into the bedroom.
Okay.
Not before I've gathered several bits of sausage. That'll do as a midnight snack.
And with that, I take my leave and go to bed.
Right.
I'll keep an eye on our gaffer from a distance. I'm not following him or doing anything hinky. I just want to watch his interaction.
Right, Earl. Well, he goes and he speaks. He doesn't speak to the random people in the street. He goes and has an officious meeting with one of the officials. He then spends an hour or so negotiating with them, and then he leaves. He doesn't speak to any of the lower level types, and apparently that's what all it takes for him to get everything sorted. You get the impression he's kind of an important guy around here. Although you did find out that he's a bit of a disgrace in the Lunar circles, and that's why he's been sent down here.
I know how that is. I mean, some people get unfairly judged on the slight things they do now and again. They constantly get brought up, and he might have not done anything wrong.
No, he might have done absolutely nothing wrong. Right.
Do I pick up on how many slaves he's buying?
No. Not unless you're actually going to try and sneak in and have a listen.
No, I'll just see.
You just stand on the corner eating a bit of trail sausage. You and Dag, feeding the odd bit to Dag. Right. The one thing you did pick up on was the guys in charge around here seem to be sable riders.
Oh, those guys. Haven't they gone all in?
Yeah, basically they are the guys who there's many great tribes of prax. The sable riders are the guys that are working for the Lunars. The full on. They were one of the minor tribes then they seemed to like throw the lot in with the Lunars, then all of a sudden got really important and then took large swathes of territory. Right, the next morning you're all summoned. You have a pleasant night's sleep. You're all summoned to meet up where the caravan's parked. And barring anything that you wish to do beforehand, Dane stands forward and stands on a box to speak.
Right, I will get ready to not cause any trouble. I will watch the crowd.
Right. Dane says, right, the Duke wishes you to address you himself. And then he steps down off his soapbox.
I'll give him a round of applause.
Right. Right. Earl stands there and everybody just looks at Earl. Earl's going, yes, just giving away a right clapping noise. Everybody including the Duke sort of looking at Earl. Does anybody wish to join in?
No, I'll just stare at him like he's a moron.
I'll stand there quietly, mind my own business.
That's pretty much all you can look at his character as, so...
Right, so Earl, you give the Duke a solo round of applause. He then steps up to the soapbox after giving you a strange look. He says, I'm to stay at Horngate for at least a week. I have further negotiations to take part to construct the walls. And he says, he snaps his fingers and his attendant brings up his war banner, who he passes to Dane. And he says, I instruct you to follow the planned route and familiarise yourself with my holdings. You have authority to administer my justice in small matters, but at no time are you to engage in protracted combat. Avoid conflict whenever possible, but act as responsible representatives of my power and influence. He says, I will meet you on the western verge of the Northern Bog in 2 weeks.
I will snap him my snappiest full rimmer.
You're an ass.
Hey, I've never been a soldier. I'm soldiering.
Right, so basically you load up on more grains, food, water, things like that, and you head across, you head out of the gate and head towards Wisecut. Right, a couple of days later, it's all flat. There's those little dust weevil things like flutter about like in the oldie west. You see quite a sizable group of humanoids walking towards you.
Oh, there's stringing the bow time again.
There's making sure my shield's equipped and then walking off to meet them.
Right, so they apparently haven't seen you because they're just walking slowly towards Horngate in a large group. Do you step forward or you just wait to see what happens?
I mean, I can go past them if we're walking like in the direction that where they're coming from, right?
Can I have a scan roll or try and identify what they are?
You certainly can.
That's a good. I'll do the same. I'll keep an eye on them.
The other thing, Rhys, is try and use as many skills as you can, because the more skills you succeed at, the more you'll increase at the end of the adventure.
Can I see like how many of them got weapons drawn? Just in case that's like a bluff kind of thing, like they're not paying attention to us kind of thing.
What group of humanoids?
Oh God! I'll pick them up and turn them round.
Or them?
Yeah, it points them at a large group of humanoids. Are you going to have a roll as well, Rhys?
Go on then.
Should always roll everything you can. It's really important.
Yeah, and then tick them. Right. Okay, McLovin, you got a critical. You see there is a massively different group of humanoids. There are some baboons, there's Troggins, there's humans, and there's something that looks like an upright walking tapir. Sorry, several of them, there's quite a lot of them. You also notice that the humans tend to be in just loincloths in the baking sun, and the kind of, as they're walking, they're bending down and they're picking stuff off the floor and then putting it to their mouths. Krish, you notice that they're a varied group of different races of humanoids, but that's all that you pick out, and the rest of you are like Kane as well, special. So you pick up, there's this a group of tapir, and there's some baboons, Troggin, and humans.
And there's no weapons drawn or anything.
They just carry the only people that are carrying weapons are the tapir folk. You know what a tapir looks like, yeah? Does everybody know what a tapir looks like?
I have no idea what a tapir is.
Yep.
Hang on. Now I do.
It's kind of like a weird cross between a horse and a pig.
Yep.
Yeah.
With a long nose.
With a long nose, that's the one, yeah. But these are walking upright and carrying spears. Right, after you've noticed this, they seem to notice you. The tapir people stop, and the humans, all suddenly together as a group, run to the front. They stop picking things off the floor, and they start lying down on top of each other in front of the thing, building a wall out of bodies, and it builds higher and higher until it's about 6 feet tall. Just a wall of people lying on top of each other.
What does my evaluate skill do?
Evaluate is to
Tell you how much the wall's worth.
yeah, tell you how much stuff's worth, basically, for gems, jewellery, pieces of fine art.
Let me get this straight. They're lying on top of each other to make a wall 6 feet high.
Yeah, they're about 3 or 4 people deep and 6 feet high. They're
A lot
all
of people.
They're all naked except wearing loincloths. So somebody's having an unpleasant day because there's dangly bits hanging in their face.
That is just so strange.
Vivid.
What
the cock and hell is this? Do you want me to try and communicate with them, boss, or do you want to do it?
No, I mean, I was just going... I mean, do we have to cross their path?
You don't have to. Look, I mean, there's hundreds of miles of, like, prax in all directions, but you do see one of the tapir people stand... They've made a wall, but it's not a solid wall. They've, like, literally left small gaps as if you would leave arrow slits in a shield wall. It's as if they've built themselves into a human shield.
Handy.
Oh, crap.
One of the tapir guys steps forward. He's holding a spear, but it's not a combat, and he steps forward and then raises his, well, hoof, you would describe it. He seems to have three toes on one hand, but he is holding a spear.
I'll pause and...
Hello,
Oh.
yourself!
Oh my fucking god.
Right, Dane rides up behind you and he goes, again, gentlemen, you have been given the Duke's responsibilities in his lands while he's not here, so this would seem to be something else of a test of you to deal with these folks. This is obviously a travelling band of Morokanth. They are one of the great tribes of Prax, but and as such they deserve respect, so obviously the chief wants to speak, otherwise he wouldn't be standing forward. So if you can give me a law roll, but I can't remember which law it is. It's local knowledge or something like that, isn't it?
Customs, there's homeland law.
Homeland law, that's the one. I've looked at so many character sheets of games this week, I can't remember which skill's on which.
Haven't got a clue.
There we go.
Should we go on over and have a word with them, like?
Well, I mean, they didn't seem to respond, so I'm not sure.
Like one of them stepped forward, held his spear up. His spear has lots of decoration, feathers, some kind of brush or something like that hanging from it. You generally notice that the more important somebody is in this area. So you've seen Larber riders, you've seen sable riders. The more important somebody is, the more adornments they have on their weapons. To some
He's the
extent,
gaffer.
their armor, but mostly, you know, if you've got a big impressive weapon and it's got things hanging off it, gems and what have you, then you're a more important guy.
I think one of us should approach halfway.
I mean, as much as that seems like it might be a good idea, yeah, fuck it. I'll head towards them. Stop
I'll have a walk
somewhere
over with you.
between.
Don't you worry, we'll be fine. What could go?
It's just when someone makes a wall out of humans in front of us, it's not exactly like.
It could be to block out. It could be to block out the sun.
Yeah.
Right, I'm sorry, Chris succeeded at his homeland law and Llewellyn succeeded at his homeland law. Right, you've heard of these people. These are Morrican. Intelligent tapir creatures, and all you've heard are terrible stories of them because you just got normal successes. They're steal people away in the middle of the night. They make them their slaves. You basically heard by bedtime stories that vilify them. That's all you're aware of. Whether you wish to share this with the group first before they go out, or just stand and laugh.
No,
I'll tell them about that.
Yeah, I think we should share that with the group, and somebody ought to keep an eye on Alan.
So who's going forward? Is somebody staying with Alan?
I'll
You stay with Alan.
I'll go
forward.
forward.
We'll go forward. Bracy, if it goes pear-shaped, run interference while we retreat back to the line.
Yeah, Bracy, you'll need to check your homeland law skill because it says it's 0%.
Yeah, I know. I don't know.
He
Oh,
just
so it's
never
home-
listened to anyone when we were at home. He never paid any attention to anyone.
It's because he rolled the one that isn't own, which is technically right?
Oh, I see. Okay. Right. So, Chris, good choice because obviously you've travelled. You've been among many places. Cronan, which is probably disaster, and Kian, who was technically the lady. You walk forward. You approach, and this guy steps forward. As you get closer, you can see he's got his weapons decorated. He wears white, like Apache style makeup on his face. He's got things braided into his hair. As you get closer, you can see they're like small bones of some kind. And he steps forward. You notice the almost naked men making up this strange semicircular wall in front of them. They're all kind of glassy-eyed. They've got grown out stubbly beards. Their fingernails are all dark and broken off digging in the dirt. And none of them is making a sound. They're just lying there. Some of them are facing you, some of them are not. They've literally stacked themselves as best they can to form a human shield, effectively.
Hail.
He says, "Well met, man."
All right, yourself. How are you doing?
He says, "I am Kareel Keenclaw, and I lead this group."
You've got a lovely wall.
Really?
You know, it's got to be addressed.
He
But
says,
even.
He says, "Ah, yes, these are my herd."
And where be you heading?
He says, "I'm heading to Belos Gap to see my people." He says, "Where do you go in an armed party?"
Headed towards the river.
He said, "Are you the people who are building the new building where all the soldiers go?"
Perhaps.
Well, the guy we work for is building the big building. We're just going around making sure everything's all right on his land.
Right. In the background, behind the wall, you can see all the baboons and trollkin are all chained up
Okay.
in a long chain.
Can we have a look and see how many actually of these people there are?
The
Can we
Morricanth,
get a more accurate number now that we're closer?
of the Morricanth, you're talking about 15 to 20. There's a lot more of these naked men. Would you like to give me a first aid roll?
First aid.
Said, we sell these at Horngate. We hear that the man wants a lot of labourers to build his castle.
Why do they stack like that?
He says, they're my herd. They do as they're told.
Plus, nails would be really, really, really uncomfortable.
Right, can you and Ryan both make first aid rolls as well?
Okay.
Because it's a general lorry type roll.
Yeah, I just figured you were talking specifically to Rhys.
I haven't got a clue.
Kane succeeds. Right, Ryan, you notice that the strange men in the wall, they don't have a normal set of teeth. They're all flat. The way that horse teeth would be flat or cow teeth would be flat. They don't have the normal like teeth you have for eating meat and things like that.
Okay.
Weird. Are they human?
They look human. You literally have had no experience with the people of this area is the problem.
Excuse
Yeah, I'm
me.
sure we'll learn as we.
Are they human?
They're herd men.
Ah. What's the difference? Apart from the teeth and the wall thing.
He says, you herd cows, yes?
I know some people who do herd cows for my people.
He says, my people herd the men.
Fair enough.
Ah. Yeah.
May we pass then and be on our way?
And it says,
Well, they had you. So you're going to see the guy we work for to sell him these slaves you've got. Yeah.
he says, I sell to whoever pays well. We need trade, we need salt, we need metal.
Oh, I'm sure he can arrange a very good trade if they're good, strong work.
He said,
I'm a big believer in baboons. Some of my best friends are baboons.
he says, it's pleasure. We do business later.
Yeah.
He says, I invite you to dinner later.
Yeah, that set off the not eating a person alarm. Well, I'll have to talk to the guy who's in charge to see if we can make camp because we have a long patrol route. But, oh, hang on, lost the accent. But I tell you what, we'll just wait there and I'll go to talk. I'll wander off to see Dane.
He says, so you've You've met one of the great 5 tribes of prax then. How's it
Yes.
going?
Well, they've got a wall that's made of people that aren't people, and they're looking to sell a load of slaves that are baboons and trollkin. And baboons are quite hard working. Not sure about trollkin, but yeah, I figure we could tell them to head down to the Duke's lands and wait for the Duke to arrive.
The Duke's waiting at Horn Gate. He said there was some deliveries arriving. I'm assuming this is one of the deliveries.
Oh, right. So they should head to Horngate.
Yes.
So we don't want to stay for tea.
He says, no. He says, Praxian pig is an acquired taste.
Praxian pig. Is that what the wall's made of?
That's what the natives call it, yes.
Oh,
I think we should be on our way.
yeah. I'll head back and go, all right, it turns out that you're heading to meet our bloke in Horngate, yeah?
It is, yes.
Oh, well, good luck to you.
He says, farewell. It has been nice to meet you.
Yes,
Yeah, it's
and to
been a
meet
pleasure.
you, lovely.
Certainly a sight that I will never forget.
That was weird.
Oh, RuneQuest is so weird. The trouble is, you just don't know the story behind everything. Like, everything has a reason or a story or a legend. And some of it's just gross, to be fair.
Yeah.
We'll
lot
turn
of
back
it
to the
is-
group and then we'll head onwards.
Right,
towards
so basically,
Westchester.
they start packing up, and then as one, this wall full of men all sort of stand up. Now you're close to them, as you basically, your column passes them to the side. You notice them as they're going along, they're scrabbling in the dirt, they're picking up insects, they're picking up bits of dried wood and chewing them, literally eating stuff out of the dirt that they're digging up with their fingernails. They're not carrying any weapons, but it's all just too freaky.
Believe me.
That's weird.
It's like their version of undomesticated animals.
Oh, hey! What they called again? Did he say what his name was?
Carville Kingclaw.
Garvin Kingclaw. You haven't seen Lost Nomad recently, have you? High Llama?
He says no, and then he fashions a great smile. You notice the Morricanth, however, who is a tapir, who does have plant-eating teeth, has very sharp meat-eating teeth,
Oh,
which is not what you were expecting to see. Obviously, you've never met this race before, but in real life, you know, Morricanth have got flat teeth like cows.
yeah.
Well, this guy's got proper meaty-eating teeth.
Just that they're looking for him, and you know.
He says, no, you can see amongst all of my goods, there's none of the sable men here.
Oh, no, I wasn't accusing, I was just asking.
He says, I'm an honourable merchant.
Of course, your reputation precedes you. People far and wide talk of your awesomeness and fair trade.
He says, it's good. He says,
It is good.
We'll speak again.
We will.
Oh,
We should leave and never speak to these people.
never speak to Morricanth again.
Yes.
Ever.
As soon as they're out of sight, let's run.
Yeah, that's just jog.
Oh, by the way, if anybody wants to call a bathroom break, just shout out and I'll pause it for 5 minutes or whatever. Right, so after that, freaky little incident,
Little incident. Yeah.
yeah, it's never a dull turn, is it?
No.
Right, so you head off to White Cut. So I think you should give me some scan rolls.
One of my finest scan rolls coming right up.
Me and Feck and Dag will keep an eye out for a single rider's tracks on a Great Llama, by the way, while we're wandering. We'll like wander the perimeter of the patrol rather than we'll like trot around the perimeter slowly as we go.
Right, so I will do here.
Turn us round again. I can't say a thing.
You're
Oh,
facing the wrong way. That's the back end of the horse. Or the mule.
You succeeded.
Are we all loving prax so far?
It's
It's
brilliant.
good. Andy, you succeeded. It was Bracy who failed.
Oh, was it? Sorry.
Yeah, Rhys, unfortunately you've joined. This is actually quite a quiet scenario because it's basically just porting around and learning people.
Oh, blimey, so I did.
I don't mind. I'm good.
Right, actually, so they did quite badly. Right, so you do see a group of what are basically hunters starting to prey, but those that succeeded have seen them. Now, these look like very primitive tribal hunters carrying spears. They've got red skin. They generally have their head shaved with pigtails or ponytails in. And the smallest one you see is 6 feet tall. He's the little guy. They come out. They come out of a copse of the horrible Praxian brush, and they step forward. If you imagine African tribesmen but with red skin, an average height of 6'7". They're carrying enormous spears that are African in design with the leaf-headed tops. And there's a guy steps forward. He's got again covered in war paint. He has various things hanging off him. His spear is decorated with jewels and feathers and things like that. And he steps forward.
Go over to meet him.
He beats his chest to go, "I am Chaco Iron Spear."
Good to meet you. I'm Kane. I
Right.
work for the...
Right, Kane, you're a big guy. You're looking up at this guy who's like, a foot and a half taller than you.
Yeah, well, I can kill anything that's bigger than me, so I'm not... I was sure heights mean shit to me.
Is anybody else going forward with Kane, or?
Well, they were hunting, so that's my wheelhouse. I'll wander forward.
Right, Earl, you do notice that almost everybody is tattooed Rhys in RuneQuest because your spell matrices are tattooed on your skin, your tribal alignments tattooed onto your skill. Earl, you see that they're all covered in Found Child runes, which is Earl's god.
Me and Feckin' Dog, where I will make the hunter sign as I walk up.
Right. He goes, "Ah, little brother," and you're like half the size of him.
Hi, big lads, how are you doing?
He makes a religious sign and says, "Blessings of the hunt on you."
And on you, many felled beasts.
He says, "Who is this group of people that comes with arms and armor?"
They are the men of the Duke who built the castle by the river.
He says,
And we are here to greet the peoples of the land and tell them that we want to exist peacefully with them. And they will respect the land. I will assure of it.
He says, "I thank you, small brother." He says, "I hear of this man. He is a very powerful noble of the Lunars." He says, "I need your help." He says, I demand justice. I demand justice. He says, "2 of my hunters have been caught by the vile Morakanth," and he spits, "of Bilos Gap, and have been turned into herdmen. They will take away their brains." He says, "I demand that the Duke intervenes and tells them to return our warriors."
I can pass that on to the Duke. Which Morakanth was it? Do you know what they were called?
He says, the one in Byler's Gap down south.
The one we've just met.
No, that's a different group. You didn't say. He says, my people, the Agamorai, right? You have not seen any Agamorai. Like I said, the smallest one ever recorded was 6 feet tall. So you would notice they're enormous. If you, like I said, African tribesmen in the way they dress, their war makeup and their weapons, but they're enormous and they're like got massive bulging muscles.
They're called Men and a Half for a reason.
Yes, these are the Men and a Half. They're famed from the god time. They are literally 1.5 men.
I mean, if you want to talk to Dane about that.
I'll go and
Go
talk to
on.
Dane, but I have a plan. Don't worry, guys. I've got this. I'll go and talk to Dane.
Okay.
Dane, bit of a spicy... hang on. Hello, Dane. Bit of a spicy situation. The big lads over there, apparently a couple of their lads have been juiced by the local anteater dudes. So they want them back and they're really angry. And I figured, and they want the Duke's justice. But I thought that sort of an intertribal dispute is not the best place to interject ourselves. What do you reckon?
He says, well, the Duke is the lord of these lands, and he will basically be expected to deal out justice to the people that's under his control and in his lands. And he said, and now me personally, I think that is an extremely sticky situation to get into, and I am really glad that I'm not the person that the Duke invested his
I've got a
war
top
banner
plan.
to.
Don't worry about it. That will go wrong. Genius plan. Keep everyone sweet.
Right, so does anybody else want to do this while Earl is speaking to Dane, and then realising that Earl is, well, you lot are basically where the book stops? It's almost as if you've like been given the short straw here and didn't realise it. No? Everybody okay?
Yeah.
Right, Earl comes back, big cheesy grin on his face.
Well, big brother, we've got this. We are going to go now and talk to the Morakanth who have our friend.
He says, this is good. I like this. I like the jokes. He says, Galazi? He says, summon the warriors. Galazi pulls out a giant horn and blows it. He says, okay, we ride to Billows Gap now.
What have you done?
Billows Gap's mileage away.
Right, so you basically ride south from there. It reckons it's only a 2-day journey, but I can't say that. Like, oh, I don't know, it's only 30 clicks.
Also,
30
they're
clicks.
Agamori. They don't ride. They run everywhere.
Right, as I was going to say, you start riding south, I presume? You do, yeah?
Yes, yep.
Yeah. You see from the side a dust cloud, and then a group of another 15 warriors. There was 5 altogether with Chaku Iron Spear. A group of warriors literally runs along and jogs alongside you while you're on your horses. And they're all whooping, they're all happy.
Amazing.
So, you group and your Agamorai escort, strangely enough, don't run into anything that seems to threaten you over the next 2 days. You stop and camp the first night. You don't see the Agamorai eat or drink, although they do seem to imbibe a beer, if any is offered. But they are gigantic and out of scale, and then they only sleep a couple of hours, and they're literally like Supermen, and then they run on until you reach the Bilos Gap the next day. Right, in Bilos Gap there is a crude wall built out of stones and boulders. There's a couple of those Morokanth guards behind it, and there is a big compound on the other side, and so you have 20 Agamori with you, and there's a few hundred Morokanth and herdmen and mercenaries on the other side of this thing. Chaco comes up to you and goes, "We kill all these people now."
No, Chaku, leave this to me.
Right.
I
Dane goes up there and he goes, the Morokanth will ask for a toll for every animal that passes. He says the Duke has paid the has supplied the 2 lunars per person to get past the blockade.
Okay, great.
Don't worry, I'm going to go and sort this out. I might need some help. Oh, by the way, feat of strength.
You've got strong feet.
Nope. I'm going to go down our champion will beat the crap out of your champion for the 2 guys.
Oh my.
I'll pat you on the back as I walk past.
Oh my god.
Right. So, do you go forward as a group?
I'll go forward with Cord. The rest just want to stay and make sure that Agamori don't get into trouble.
Yeah, Bracy,
Yeah.
Mr. Lovin, make sure the fucking Agamori don't kick off and start a war yet.
I'll try and keep them entertained with a song.
Oh, good idea. Good idea. The big
The music soothes the savage beasts. Right. You approach the 2 Morokanth.
All right, lads, how are yourselves?
He looks you up and down, he looks at the thing, he goes, "We're going to have a very profitable day."
I like profitable days. I need to talk to someone in charge.
He says, "It's 5 lunars per person. It's up,
It's 2
it's up
lunars
there."
and it's already been paid. We're working for Juice Rouse of Roan. You know, the one with the castle?
He says, "Yes, and it's 5 lunars."
Oh.
And he looks edgy and moves his spear in a way that seems threatening to you, although he's got weird alien body language, so you're not sure he could be constipated.
All right, then. So I'll look at him and go, I'll use intimidate and say it's... I'll fail to intimidate him.
Right. He looks at you, his weird tapir snout presses against your nose. You look at each other in your eyes and you go, "It's only 2 I'd start coughing, and then he starts making this weird noise. You finally realise he's laughing because, "I like you, man. I hope I don't have to turn you into a herd man."
You can do that! I'll turn around. Can you really do that?
Oh yeah. Then he spots the giant pack of Agamori, and the other guy turns round and like blows on this horn made out of some animal horn. And he goes, "You brought these people here."
Well, sort of. I need to talk to someone in charge. I'm trying to stave off any nastiness.
Right. So
I've lost my accent again. I'm going to have to get back to that.
yeah, I keep forgetting what accent I'm using for the Morokanth. I'm trying to make it not a racist one, but I don't even know what accent I'm pulling.
Well, it's not like you can actually know what they sound like.
Right.
That is true.
So, there's obviously a more important Morokanth, judging by his spear decorations, comes forward, and he says, "Yeah, with the Duke's men, we will have a council. You can come. You can bring whomever you want, to the council.
I'll bring the lads, including Alan.
Right. Okay. It's not
I'll
going to work the way you think it's going to work. It really isn't. Right. Chaco goes, where you going? We come with you.
No, wait there.
No, he says no.
Trust me. No,
he says
trust,
no.
trust me.
No, he says, they are my warriors. We are coming. He says, I will leave 15 of my men here. 2 hands. 3 hands.
Chaku, one thing.
He looks at you dead seriously. He says, I will bring 5 or I will bring them all.
That's a good point. I can see where you're going with this. What I was going to say was, isn't it strange that our paths crossed? Members of the same cult, when our cult is hardly worshipped amongst my people. Do you not think there was providence in me being sent here to be your talker?
He said, yes, the wise woman, she will agree with this.
Yes, I'm sure she will. Probably. All I ask is that until I start killing people, you don't start killing people. And you let me be the talker.
He says, yes, but I will come with 5 of my men.
Okay. Right, we'll come.
It sounds like that is all you're gonna get.
Yeah,
As good as
that's
a
like,
guess.
this is not gonna go well.
Right, so they just inside the place, they clear out. They make a big circle made of herdmen, walls basically. There's a group of
I'll take a seat.
a group of 5 Morricanth. Yeah, there's a herdman lies down and makes a bench.
Yeah, I'll sit on it.
I'll
I can
stand.
do this. I'm with this shit. This is me. I'm going to buy some of these. I'm taking them with us. Porn and everything. You can get spooned on a night and it'll keep you warm. This is brilliant.
Right, so into this circle made of herdmen, and the bench is made of herdmen who are lying on the floor. There is you lot. There is 5 of the Agamori. Chaku is sitting in command, and 3 warriors. Galazis is sitting in command, who has almost the battle decorations. He's got some ritual scarring on his face and on his chest. And 5 Morricanth. But that's just inside the circle. The other several hundred Morricanth are just kind of watching intently. Right, so he steps forward and he goes, why have you brought these people here? Said the Morricanth leader. To you in general, because he's not sure who is actually supposed to be speaking.
We work for the Duke and we hold his justice, and we are here to try and negotiate the return of 2 of Chaka's people.
Right. He says, these 2 people, and then he gestures with his three-toed hand, 3-claw-toe hand. The herdmen part, and there's 2 Agamori. They look like they've been badly treated, beaten up. They're covered in bruises. They've got manacles around their legs and their wrists. And he says, Chaku starts to stand up, like with an absolute killing look on his face.
I'll turn around and go,
He says, we caught these 2 thieves attempting to hunt our herdmen. Like any herd thief, they must be punished. If we were human, we would simply kill them. Instead, our punishment for such thieves, who come under the covenant of Waha, is to be made herdmen. Surely the injustice of the Duke will not prohibit such a retribution for their crime.
Did they raid your herd? Is that what you're
Yes,
saying?
they hunted our herd.
Ha! Talking my language now!
Right? Chaka spits and goes, of course we did. We are hunters. No true hunter would fail to hunt any animal. You're just fortunate that you are not being hunted by us right now.
They're not animals. Just saying. So, they were raiding your herd. You captured them, and instead of ransoming them back, you're going to turn them into.
Yes.
That seems
This is fair justice.
it's not. That seems very, very, very harsh. Now, where I come from, my clan has been known now and again to raid its neighbours' herds. We do this mainly because it is a good way to train your youngsters how to fight. But if you started killing all the youngsters that get caught, nobody would have any kids to use against an external threat. Now, would there? What would happen if your men raided the Agamori and the Agamori would kill them? You would have less people, yes? It's counterproductive. It's unprofitable.
He says, stranger, I can see you're not from around here. This is the way of the people. We hunt them, they hunt us. He says, however, I hear of this Duke. We're going to trade. Right, as you're sitting there talking, you can see more and more caravans of Moroccan. Just like coming through the gate, going past the area where you are, heading off into the main. It's like a rough fort built out of rocks, effectively, because there's nothing much to build stuff with around here. And you reckon there's over 200 at least of just the Moroccan. He says, tell you what, he says, you are this Duke's man, yes?
Yep.
He says, I've given you the truth. These thieves tried to steal our herd. He says,
Yep.
we agree, we abide by the Duke's justice. And as an agent of the Duke, we will do as you say. He goes, but, and then his face changes and he looks, his beady eyes straight in you. He goes, you have to be careful how you decide, because this will affect the way that the Duke is seen in this entire area. He looks a bit smug, and to be honest, for a weird non-human tapir-like creature, he seems to be, what's the term? Kind of a narrator, if you know what I mean.
Oh, you mean is he not so much talking to me, but talking to the crowd?
He's talking to your group in general,
But
he's like addressing the crowd. His body language is unusual, but you kind of get the impression that he may be deliberately wording things.
Yeah. Now that's a very wise thing to say, little friend. They are quite small.
Chaka goes, I hear this filthy animal. He says, we are Gomori, we will abide by the Duke's decisions. He says, but this will mean war. War if they're not returned.
Can we not just offer to buy them, Earl?
That's what I'm going to try and do. The Duke is an honest broker. He will have no allies or enemies. He will be a man of honour and duty, someone you can bring your problems to, and he will offer a neutral solution. And you both say you will agree to this.
They both say yes, they will agree to this.
Good. In that case, these two people raided your herd, and you have sentenced them to become herdmen. Is that?
He said yes.
And if you carry out your sentence, there will be a war with the Agabor. Is that correct? I'll certainly check.
He says yes.
Is war profitable for your people?
He says, this is more than profit and loss, dear friends. He says, you can see my people, they arrive. There is a great feast and a great religious ceremony. And he went, and then he looks at the other two and he goes, and these are the main dish. Chaka, like, he's literally face bright red, like neck standing out on cords. He says, I can't sell you my main dish. It will ruin the ceremony.
I mean, you can go with your previous plan if you want.
I might have to do this.
So what's it going to be, boy? Yes or no? Because everybody is now looking at Earl, because Earl was the one who volunteered to step forward and, remember, opened his
I
mouth
know.
and put
I
both of
know.
his feet in.
This is how I do things. Well, you see, you have a very valid point, but you can't eat them until they're herd beasts. Isn't that right?
That's right. At the ceremony, we turn all of our captives to herdmen, and then we have a great feast.
And your herdmen obey you in all things.
He says, yes. And then suddenly, all of the ones that surrounding him, forming a wall, all like stand to attention simultaneously and like cross their hands across their hearts. It goes, absolutely. You suddenly realise you're like surrounded by several hundred dangerous, angry, these innocent-looking herdmen who are suddenly all staring daggers at the whole party, and you're suddenly like, hang on a minute, we're right in the middle of a circle of like hundreds of people.
We're gonna die.
I'm not gonna die. We'll be fine.
So
Andy goes, you're all going to die. I'm a duck. They're not turning me into a herd duck.
that's true.
Andy suddenly putting it on white makeup and going, yes, let's kill the white men.
Nope, this is the
Right,
job that
okay.
we signed up for.
I've done something I've never thought I might do, make Earl go completely silent.
Yes. This
So
is
he
what you signed up
basically
for.
says, you choose. You are the Duke's man. Chatter says, yes, you choose.
Suddenly, I have visions of a pot of Vaseline and a large orange.
Wisdom does take some time, but this is something that needs to be done now, I think. I think the most important thing is that there is not a war between the Agamori and the Morrigan. I think the raiding will be worse, and for the sake of 2 meals, that seems a harsh price to try and push your dominance over a neighbouring tribe. So I think you ask too much. But the Agamori owe you compensation for the raid. How much does a herdman sell for?
He says, oh no, we don't sell the herdmen.
No, you do sell. How much does a slave sell for? Sorry.
It depends. It's 20 lunars, 50 lunars, depending on.
An Agamori is a man and a half, so 150 lunars each. That is the ransom that I will place on. The Agamori pay that ransom, and that's their compensation to you for the raid.
Right. Okay. So Chaka says, yes, yes. Right. Pulls a necklace of bones and jewels from his neck. He throws it to the ground in front of the Morricanth. He goes, release them. The Morricanth looks in its alien kind of way, looks at you and goes, this is what you decide. We will abide by this. But he does not look happy. He gestures and they release the 2 Agamori, who stumble forward and then like almost fall to their knees because they're being beaten up quite badly. So that they start to pitch forward. Chaka doesn't step forward to help them at all.
Should these 2 Agamori raid your lands again and you capture them, you can do as you wish with them, and no amount of ransom will cover their debt.
He says, oh, we will, because we... And then he looks, he gives switch at the party and goes, now we need 2 more sacrifices for the main meal. So they fall forward. One actually falls to his knee. Chaka doesn't move forward. Now does Galazi. And then the 2 guys look forward and they look kind of angry with themselves. They force themselves to the feet. and then they stagger forward. When they get to chatter, he turns around and the group starts walking towards the gate. The Morricanth like crowd in a bit, but then they part and let you go through. Do you have any final words to
the Morrican?
to anybody? The Agamori thing out. There's an uneasy murmuring in the Morricanth camp. The wicked herdmen, as they're called, are not making any sound. They're still standing to this weird kind of attention.
No, we have pronounced the Duke's justice, and I think I did a decent job, but it was a bit dicey. I still think if I could have thought of a way to have someone hit someone to do it, it would have been better.
Okay. Right, so you get back to the camp safe.
Yeah.
You do have to go through the rest of the Morricanth camp to get to Easy Ford. That's the next leg of your journey,
Right.
which is there. So you pull up. Dane says, well, what happened?
I'll explain to Dane exactly what happened. Basically, you see, they were going to eat 2 of his lads, and if they did that, there was going to be a war. So I essentially put them a high ransom price, and the Agamori lad paid. The Morricanth aren't particularly happy, but they'll probably raid the Agamori a bit, and the Agamori will raid them back. But they won't escalate into full-scale war.
He says, well, you're the agent of the Duke. We have to abide by what you say. To be honest, there was no right answer. They're both sides are deceivers and should never be trusted. He said, but no doubt you've made an enemy of one or the other this day. He said,
Probably.
neither of them care a whit for life nor honour. So those two people were just bargaining chips in a dance.
Well, I would have bought them myself and kept them, but I'd have figured that the Morricanth wouldn't sell them, and they were using it to weigh out what the sort of justice they could expect from the Duke. And I figured the best justice we could have is show neither side that we would be bullied and we'll make our own decision.
Just as you say that, Chatter and his men come up. They say, thank you, little brother. Thank you for returning my warriors. He says, we go home. You see the 2 guys who were beaten up, they are running behind the pack. Nobody's helping them, and they're really struggling. One of them looks like he's maybe got a broken rib, and so they all salute you with their spears, and then they run off, and the 2 guys at the back run off as best they can, limping, but they keep up with the pack.
I'll turn out to check it before he runs off and say, have you come across a sable warrior, the High Llama?
He says, no, but I did see a High Llama corpse that was in the South Bog, partially eaten by crocodiles and cougars. By the time we found it, the meat was rancid. It was no good for eating, so we left it.
Thank you, Shagger. Next time my patrol passes, I will come and hunt with your people.
Says, I'm looking forward to it, little brother.
I'll nod in respect to it. Right. Easy forward.
Yeah. Anybody else want to say anything? Do anything?
No, that's fine.
Are you all suitably grossed out and freaked out yet?
Me.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Right. So you move through the Billows Gap and down to the South Bog. It's just drying up as you are in fire season. The trail is soggy but free of quagmires, and there's easily seen game trails leading up the fog. The river is relatively wide and shallow and can be forded almost anywhere, but an easy ford area has firmer ground and gentler banks than most areas. But it's sun season. You reckon if it was in a rainy season, the whole place would be flooded out. Andy's quite at home in this. You're the expert in this. You're like, sea season, this whole area will be impassable to horses. It's like you humans, you'd be wasting time trying to get through this. And the next couple of days, you ride you just see normal animals running by. What you can do is give me a scan roll.
I'll still keep an eye out for tracks around the South Bog, Easy Ford area, just in case we find any.
Wow.
Wow.
We actually all succeeded.
Everybody succeeded. Tick all those little boxes, gentlemen. Right. As you're riding through this high up in the sky, you see like the outline of a bird. Obviously, it's hot, so there's a heat here. There's a bird, and there looks like something of a similar size flying next to it. Crodan got a special success. Right, it's it's so high up. It's barely like a little dot. But Crodan, you notice this thing that's flying with it. Its tail is going side to side, rather than any normal.
Birds don't have tails.
No, and it looks about the same size as this bird. You can see it's really high. You estimate it's higher than you've seen. You shouldn't be able to see it actually because it's so high up. You're thinking, hang on, so this is small, this is far
It's
away.
far away. I'll turn around and go, guys, that's really fucking big.
You'll go, oh look, there's a tiny little black dot up in the sky. Earl's going, what the absolute fuck? There's something up there flying with that bird. Right.
And I bet there's no cover for miles.
So, you approach the stone tower.
Let's get inside.
You don't get too close to it because this is the tower that's rumoured to be guarded by a vampire, or to be the crypt of a vampire. Even though...
Oh, don't say that. You forgot who's in the party.
Yes, I know. Even though there's a humanity and a humanity death lord there, the supposed vampire hasn't been seen for many years, doing air bunnies with my fingers. It looks run down. The stones are crumbling. It's about 3 or 4 stories tall. There are stone slits spaced at irregular intervals all the way around. But other than that, you don't see any tracks lying about. There's no other signs of life.
I'm sure we can make a detour, come back here at a later date.
Yeah,
Oh, we could
honestly,
go in and explore.
all these places that all these places, and then next up is Condor Crags, which I've completely lost on my map.
To the
There you are.
northeast.
Yeah,
Mm.
I've got it quite zoomed in. Right, so you go up past the stone tower, you wind up the sides of the effectively like the Grand Canyon. That's what these cliffs look like, and you end up at Condor Crags, which are gigantic stone columns rising hundreds and hundreds of feet into the air.
I can't help but feel that whatever that thing was that was flying around above us a little while ago might live here.
Yeah, that passed my mind too.
Right, far above you see, right, the tallest is some 300 metres above the ground. Far above, a few enormous birds circle and land on the crags. They're the famous king condors of Prax. The birds the size of a horse with vast wings for sailing in the desert air. If you can, please all give me a climb roll.
I don't want to go near them if they're that big.
Right, Earl, you're the only one to make it out, right? And whatever you saw, from the height of it, was bigger than what you're looking at now. And there was 2 of them, and
Bloody
one of
hell.
them had a tail.
Thank God I failed.
Kane, Crodan, and McLovin. Right, no, you're not actually climbing anything, you're just looking at them. You were given in the briefing that the Condor Crags are famous for being unclimbable, but when you're looking at them, you're like, nah, you can get up them easy enough. I don't know why people say they're unclimbable, but there's obviously a reason.
I'm thinking it probably has something to do with the giant horse-sized birds.
You do see some in the distance, some guy from a tribe, humanoid, definitely human, runs around the corner. Then you just catch sight of him riding off into the distance. He's too far away to make out what kind of mountain it was, though.
I'll head over to where he rode off and look at the tracks.
You can make a track and roll, but it's inconclusive because I didn't actually roll to see what tribe it was. But it's one of the barbarian tribes, Earl, and you know which one it is.
Okay, it's one of them.
It's one of those ones.
Good job, man.
I try.
Right, so you spend the next few days. Earl's moved us. Why have you moved us, Earl?
I didn't do it on purpose.
You spend the next few days working through the rocky canyon to the north of the Great Bog. It's kind of like the Grand Canyon, and then you head down this path here to the River of Cradles, also known as the River of Zolafel. And you meet up with the Duke. He is camped there with around, he's got his personal guard, he's got around 10 mercenaries with him, and it looks like about 30 labourers waiting for them on the west side of the river.
Well, assuming that river's not full of horrible things like crocodiles, I'm going to have a bath.
Right, yeah, Andy's really glad to see this. Rhys, I don't know if it was made clear, but Andy's an actual duck.
Yep.
Yeah. So he goes and washes his feathers. The other weird thing about this party is, other than you, all of these have got a slightly red skin to their red tinge to their skin or feathers, all of them, which is unusual.
Weird. You all look weird. Have I ever mentioned that?
We all are weird. It's because we killed a god, you see.
Ah.
Right, so you cross the river and you approach the Duke. Andy, you see newtlands bobbing in around the river. You obviously know newtlands because you met some in the Rainbow Current.
Yeah, I shall mention this to the lads, because we all know what we think about newtlands.
And in fact, as you approach the Duke, there is a Newtland bachelor standing with him who seems to be some kind of liaison.
Oh, did I learn a Newtland hello?
You can learn the Newtland hello, yes.
I will say the Newtland hello.
Right. He looks surprised that you say the Newtland hello. And he says it back and waves. The Duke says, I see you've met my Newtland mercenaries.
No, I'll turn round. This is MacLovin. He is the king of the Rainbow Mounds tribe of the New.
Is this true, MacLovin?
Yep.
Right, he says, it's an interesting story I must hear another time. He says, right, firstly, these are my Newtland mercenaries. There are, as you can see to the north, there are two paths. He says, according to my friends here, this is Croker. He says the mercenaries, it leads upstream to a band of outlaw ducks. led by the infamous bandit Pinfeather.
What?
Sounds like we're having duck for dinner.
Say, Andy, see how long it took him before he got racist about ducks.
Yeah, well, I mean, what can you expect? I'll do a bit of tuneless whistling and sort of sidle off to one side.
Does anybody remember who Pinfeather was?
Yes.
I don't think anybody else does, Earl.
He got away from us. I'll turn around and say, I know Pinfeather. He's on my list.
Oh, is that in? When we
He's
were
the
in
guy that got away.
cabin? Yeah.
Yeah, luckily he got away. Otherwise, it'd be the infamous duck bandit Dinfeather, his brother. Right, he says also there's two sets of warring Newtlands. There are the law-abiding Newtlands, which are in my employ. He says, and there's an evil enemy tribe who are here to spread chaos and dissident down the river. He says, I have a duty for you, however. He says, my High Newtlands caught some of the others spying on our camp last night. They have to be executed. He turns to Kane, who is obviously the leader. He says, as per the law of the land and their tribal executions, you must cut off their heads and their tails. This must be done in full view of myself and all of my men to show that we are here and we mean business. We will tolerate no outlaws or people who would thwart my rule.
I mean, to be fair, that sounds completely fair. Really.
Right, so he sits down in his little. He sits there on his horse. Two Newtlands are led out blindfolded, with their hands tied and forced down onto their knees in front of you, Ryan.
Is everyone?
Everyone is
all there
looking
trying
at
to-
you. You have got 100% of the attention.
Cool. Pull me sword out and yeah, execute them.
Right, okay. Without even breaking into a sweat, Ryan dispatches the two, cuts off their heads and their tails. As he cuts the second one down, there's a loud splashing noise from the river, and one of the Duke's Newtlands suddenly jabbers and starts pulling at the Duke's sleeve, pointing to the river. He's jabbering in Newtland. I don't think anybody speaks Newtland here.
I will spin at the same time as drawing an arrow.
You spin at the same time as you draw. All you see, Earl, is some ripples in the lake.
I take it was a case of there was a Newtland from the other tribe watching. That's my assumption. That just means there's probably more to execute later.
They've got your number, big boy.
To be fair, if they're spreading chaos down the river, then it kind of deserves.
Right, finally the Duke says we're heading now along the banks of the river down towards Fort Run. However, he says we're going to make a short detour to check out the village of Rhys. So you ride up the river until you arrive at the village of Rhys. It's got 20 round shackle huts lashed together. There are about 80 people here, poor and sickly and weak. The gardens are hand tended. They have no domestic beasts except house cats. It's a dump. The native language is all Paric and a crude guttural dialect. But it's also mixed with Praxian loanwords, and so it's a very weird language that you don't really understand. The Duke rides forward. They come out, these dirty, dishevelled, miserable-looking people. They greet the Duke. They tug the forelock. The only one that's slightly different is a young, nimble lad. he pops out. He's got a dirty battered hat at a jaunty angle. He calls himself the mayor. Everybody seems to show deference to him as well. I mean, he's still in dirty, ragged clothing, but he looks in better health. And he comes forward. He speaks to the Duke. If you want to make listen rolls, you can hear what he's talking about.
Where's listen?
Under
Oh, that-
perception.
sorry.
Yeah.
Found it.
Right, so you have a listen. Tonak greets the Duke with some familiarity, asks him how his daughter is, and then makes some small talk. The Duke asks him how the village is doing. Oh, we're poor, my lord. We always need more money. We need more crops. We need some animals. But you get the impression that this lad's kind of like a bit of a jackal lad. He then bows, like awfully bows, and tugs the forelock and goes off and speaks with Dane. He seems to chat. Him and Dane seem to chat like old friends. He asks. He drops a subtle hint as if he could get an invitation to visit the fort, perhaps when the Duke's daughter Jezreel will be around. Dane kind of like gives them this like, "You got to be kidding me! Look." So they seem quite friendly. It's a little dump, this village. It's dirty. It's dank. It's in the worst state of poverty. And so after that, you finally ride out and arrive at the Duke's fort, where the Great Bog is. Right, he's dubbed it Fort Run. There's a flint nail master mason and a small group of journeyman apprentices. The flint nails are the builders from Pavis. They're basically the best builders you can get. It's a whole cult that builds houses, is what it does. They've been supervising the work of about 150 labourers, mostly human. The first floor of the main tower is complete and the Duke's family has moved into it. The other two tower foundations have been laid and tied into the packed earth walls, been built inside wicker frames. One row of river stones have been relaid around the circumference of the wall. The first level of 8 metres, which will guard the confluence of the Vilna and Cradles River. The flint nail masons are gathering the materials from both the river and the quarry dug into the nearby cliffs. Barbarians, mercenaries look on with wonder. They're actually putting some kind of weird stuff between the bricks that seems to be making them stick together. Not something that you've seen. You've used dung and straw, but you haven't put this weird sandy stuff in the middle. Between the fort and the cliff, the Duke has laid the outline of the village that will be built by the immigrating farmers during sea season next year. He proudly displays this to everybody. He says, "This will be a great building. In a year's time, we'll have large, strong walls made of stone. We'll have a village and fields laid out." He says, "We'll have brought the whole area out of lawlessness and into one giant community working together."
You have to be careful of that pin feather, lad.
For now, you all live in tents. You get there's 3 or 4 rows of tents where everybody's sleeping. The plans are to build the barracks into the packed earth walls. So when they're ready, you'll be moving into proper barracks. So basically, he says, "Welcome to Fort Run," and he says, "Rest up well, because tomorrow the real problems start."
Well, that sounds fun.
Right, so that was the introduction to Borderlands. It's a bit long, and I know it's a lot of talkiness. It's not your usual scenario. So how did you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's just to basically see the lands that the Duke and the rules over.
Right, so you can have quick experience rolls. Now, what you need to do, did you manage to tick all of your skills, Rhys?
Mhm.
Yeah. So you need to roll the skill and you need to fail it.
What?
Right. So basically what you're trying to do is, for each skill that's ticked, you roll it and you need to fail it. Right, Earl, you give 1% because you're less than 75%. Right, don't everybody go at once because we'll just get spam with rolls. So who's going first? Earl, are you going to do all yours first?
Yeah.
Right, so what you need to do, Rhys, to increase your tick skill is roll and fail. If it's close, you add your modifier on, so but don't worry about that. Right, Earl succeeded in both of those. Right,
Well,
so
I failed that.
yeah, so you gain 1% in climb, 1% in intrigue, and you can have either 3% or 1d6% in sing.
I'll go for the D6.
Nice.
Oh, well done, that man.
Why are you rolling d4s?
Because I pressed the wrong one.
Ah, okay. I know it seems complicated, Rhys, but honestly, it gets a lot easier once you figure out what you do.
Don't.
Doing well. It's good.
Right, other than Rhys, you all know what you're doing on how to do your increase rolls, don't you?
Yeah.
Right, so I'll go through it with Rhys, and then you can all just roll yourselves because you know what you're doing. Remember, if you succeed at the roll and you're less than 75%, you can give 1% up to 75%.
Quick question. For hacking off a Newtland's head, did I get a broadsword too?
No, you did not, because it was not resistant. It literally was so pathetic and so easy that you didn't
That's
even
worth a
have to roll.
question.
It was such an easy execution that you did it with one hit.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, I was just curious.
Right, Rhys, we'll go through yours. Right, so basically your first skill that's ticked if you roll it, so click the little icon that's next to it. Right, you succeeded. So you don't get a roll increase, but you increase by 1%. So change your sing skill to 61.
Okay, how do I do that?
Right, if you just it's just a fillable sheet. Hang on, I can do it for you. You open your character sheet up.
Give us a look.
Right, okay, where your sing skill is, mate.
Mm.
Right, if you just click where it says
46, 45 and 10 out of 46.
yeah, where it says 45.
Ah.
Sorry, where it says 60. Just delete that and put 61, and then the one at the end will automatically update.
I can't click on that. It won't let me.
It's in the modifier column,
Oh,
not
so,
the grey one.
okay, I didn't modify, but
If it's not working, just tell us and I'll try and figure out why.
no, it is working. It's just you had to put in the little bluey coloured bit.
Yes.
If it is the modifier one, then that's fine. And then unclick.
and then that should
Rich,
yes.
it's 41 close enough to 49 and then take the modifier, or is that too?
Right,
too
if it's close, add your modifier to it. So if your modifier is 8% or more, then you succeed.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, did you manage to figure out how to put your 1% in?
Yeah. I've rolled the next one, which has failed.
Right, so if you fail, that means you can either take 3% or roll 1d6 and get those. So you might get better, you might get worse.
I'll go for the d6s. So I've got 4. So what does that mean? Add 4.
Add 4 to your skill, yeah, to your base skill.
I am putting this in the modifier bit, aren't I?
You should just be able to put it in the first column, to be honest.
First column. So
Yeah.
change whatever the number is and just add 4 on.
Yeah, because like basically if I say it's a tough crowd, so to sing to them you got a modifier of -20. You're supposed to type in -20 and then hit roll, but we just ignore that because it's too much faff on, and then just say roll and then we just take it off your roll.
Can I quickly grab a cup of tea whilst you do the rest of the rolls?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm going to stop recording and call a 10-minute break.
Fumble.
Okay, the next morning you wake up feeling refreshed, and you are summoned to the Dane's room in the base of one of the towers. It's not urgent. You're given time to go to the bog, and you're given time to have breakfast. There's a big communal cauldron of grains and beans.
Lots. Eat absolutely tons of it.
There's plenty food and water. The labourers make sure there's great vats full of water that's filled every day. So you have breakfast and you're summoned. You eat with the other Erics, the mercenaries.
I'll get to know everybody as usual.
Yeah, you like, all right, I know you lads. Is there anything you want to ask? Some of these people might have been in this area before. There might be locals. There's a couple of barbarians who look like might be from this, well, not this specific area, but in Prax in general.
Has anyone seen the missing? I can't remember what it's called. Camel man thing.
The llama rider. No, nobody's seen him. Most of the mercs arrived with you. There's only the odd ones who arrived with the Duke, because he's always got men around him.
Has anyone seen any more of those sand pits?
No, that was an unusual thing that you've seen. That is not common knowledge. You seem to be the ground zero on that. Right, at the fort, there is a priest who is there to take. He can take your blessings. He can take your donations. He can teach some spells. He can do limb reattachment, but the trouble is it's got to be within a certain amount of time. So if you lose a limb out in the field, you'd have to go to Horngate to the Chalnataroi temple. But he's there to answer any of your divine questions, my son. Think of like a Friar Tuck kind of figure, friendly, jovial, always there to help.
I'd like to learn a spell.
I'll spend hours speaking about metaphysics to him.
Metaphysics. So, are the gods real, or do we just think they're real? What spell would you like to learn, sir?
What spells can you teach me?
Right, okay. If you click on your journal, you should have a player's handbook in your journal.
Yep. And
that's got all of the tables and stuff and things you might need to know. There's a one called Spirit Magic Spells or Spirit Magic List in the handbook.
oh god.
I've already added a couple of spells to your character. Some kind of light spell is popular because not anybody can see in the dark. And healing 2, but you've already had that, is everybody lowers healing 2. Healing 2 can stop bleeding, so if you get a limb severed, you cast a healing 2, it stops you bleeding to death. It doesn't reattach a limb, but it does stop you bleeding to death. So literally anybody who's got a spell has healing 2 in RuneQuest.
Oh God,
Is there
so many spells.
I mean, you don't have to pick them now, or if there's like some kind of effect you're looking for, we can give you the closest. We can give you the closest thing. You know, when you were saying before you wanted to play like a magic character, and I said everybody does magic.
Oh Jesus Christ! There are so many bloody spells on it.
Get disruption, very handy for raising your power.
Yeah, things to do in combat. Disrupt somebody at least once, because then you get a power increase roll, which is very handy. Bash with the shield, because if you use dodge as your primary attack, then bash with a shield to get a shield increase. Right.
Oh God, I'm gonna have to read all of these. I'll
do them
figure out later.
at your leisure. Even when the game's not running, you can still log into the game. It's always here, and you can click on that player's handbook thing and go through the list yourself. That's always there.
We'll go for disruption though.
Yeah, grab a disruption. Just write it down in your spirit magic spells. Put a square bracket 1 underneath it. That means it's always costs 1 point to cast. Healing doesn't have a bracket around it, so it's a variable spell, so you can cast either healing 1 or healing 2. So that's why it doesn't have a bracket around it. Okay, right, so after breakfast and a bit of this, and you meet the priest. He takes your confession if you wish to give it, and he's kind of a priest to all men, as it were. He's like a frontier priest. They've got little shrines. They've got a one of those like the Havernacle Lane, where they've got a shrine, and there's a little shrine to each god. It's like I said, it's an open society. You're allowed to worship whoever you want as long as you pay your taxes. And so finally, after all of this, you head into the Duke's room. He does not rise, and basically he's sitting at his big table. His mercenaries are standing around, sorry, his personal guard, and beside him is Dane. And the Duke speaks. I've been commissioned by Sir Earl, Governor of Prax, to eradicate all menaces which infest this river valley. In particular, a band of renegade ducks has been making river trade hazardous, and they have stolen personal items of our governor. I will lead you against these pirates, for their lair is known to me. We'll leave in 2 days. Get your affairs in order and be ready to leave as Yelm ascends the sky. Dane will give you pertinent details and answer any questions you may have.
Is this pen fella?
He then, without speaking, stands and turns and walks out. Right. Rhys, Yelm is the name of the sun. But the sun is also a god. An actual god. So it's kind of metaphysical. So when you refer to Yelm, you're referring to the sun, who's also the god Yelm.
Right.
Right, so Dane motions over. He's got a sketch map. He says, right, this is a straight up outlaw hunt. I'm sure you've all done one of these before.
Aye.
And he lays a map out on the table.
This is pin feather, right?
It is, yes.
Brilliant.
He lays out a sketch map of the North Bog. He points to a trail on the map and states there seems to be a trail running roughly north and south along here. It seems fairly dry, but who knows in that mess. The lair is somewhere in the area of this north. There are some ruins along the trail, that is where they may be. The Newtons will boat up to you from the southern edge of the bog. From there you will enter the bog from one or both ends of the trail. as the Duke will decide, and proceed along cautiously looking for sign of the pirates. Once you find them, engage them and slay them, or drive them into the river where the Newtons can get at them. Remember, you'll take care of the land side. It's the Newtons' job to cover the river. Now you may ask, how do we prove this to his mightiness, so real that what we've done is he wishes? I'm glad you asked. One of these featherheads wears a distinctive jewelled eye patch, and he seems to be the leader of the flock. If you bring back that eye patch, the Duke will be happy, and so will the governor. Are there any questions?
No, I hate the little fucker. I want to find him and eat him.
I mean,
Right, it's kind of a terrible map. You can see the brown area is the path that runs up and down. The green areas are swamp, and the blue is the River of Cradles. The island in the centre here, yeah, this cove is, he said, the lairs in this cove, he means this general area, like all around here. He said it may be in the ruins. It's somewhere in the area of this knoll, and the Newtons will boat you up from to the either the south or the north end of the path. There's a ruined building in the south.
I think we probably should.
Are there any questions?
Yep. Do we know how many there is roughly?
No, I'm sorry. That would require a divination, and the temple doesn't have the necessary setup to perform divinations yet, because it's basically a tent. Andy, any questions?
What was the proof of killing of dealing with? Is it like
Eye
heads?
patch.
The leader
Eye
has an
patch.
eye patch.
Okay. Bring in there. Okay.
No questions about this, but did you say we've got a couple of days before we leave?
Yeah, 2 days.
Right, well in that case, I want to try and scare up a rectangle of canvas, some stout thread and a sailmaker's needle.
Right, okay, that's not beyond the bounds of possibility. I dread to think why, but yes, you have them.
I'm going to make a cushion, because I'm not designed for riding on a zebra.
You're riding on a mule, because you're too little to ride on a zebra, if you remember.
Same difference, I'm not designed for them neither. I shall make myself a cushion.
Right.
And stuff it with dried grass.
Right, that sounds like you have several mishaps, as you're not a trained seamstress, but you managed to sort something out.
Champion.
Yeah, because there's no saddles either, because it's like ancient primitive people's saddles. What are they?
I think it would be better that we arrive on the south side of the path, right? So we can check the ruin first. And check the area.
Well, they can drop you off here, like anywhere here, right? But you are going to have, the closest area is there to the path, but you're still going to have to wade maybe thigh deep through swamp to get to the brown path, which is, it looks more solid, but you can't be sure.
Don't underestimate a duck in a swamp.
Yeah, don't I have some sort of ability for plodging about through swamps?
You do, you basically treat it as normal ground.
I thought...
You just laugh at them basically while they're all plodging, because if you webbed feet, where they will be stuck you can swim, and where it's like swampy you can just walk on it. As long as
I'm a grey dog, I grew up in a swamp. I'm not a duck.
You just smell like a swamp whale, I think. That's where the distinction is.
And I've been told taste.
So basically, yeah, that's it. If there's any questions you've got, I'll do my best to answer them.
I will string and knock an arrow and be ready, and my head is on a...
You're actually in the briefing room with Dane, and you're being ready now.
You can never be too ready.
Do I have a spear with me?
No, but spears are provided by the Duke free, as are arrows. No, Earl, you can't have 1,000,000 arrows to sell.
I think I'll just take one spear.
Spears are, because RuneQuest isn't a realistic combat system, spears are horrifying if you get stabbed with one. Swords are quite nasty, spears are horrifying.
It seems to make more sense to me to take a spear if we have to stab something in the water.
Yeah,
That sword's
absolutely.
not going to do much good.
I tend to agree. So we're ready to go unless there's any prep that needs.
Only if you need to make any.
Say for me.
Yeah,
We
literally.
need some rope.
It says the only other problem is you can't wear heavy armor because the ducks tend to tip boats over and then loot the body. If you go around in plate or scale or any dwarf armor, anything like that, you're likely to be tipped over and sink to the bottom.
Okay, well, do they have heavy leathers I could use instead? Swear.
Yeah, two. You can get 2-point heavy leather.
Okay, that's fine.
Am I wearing the metal armor? I'm carrying.
I
I don't
think
think I'm
I
wearing
think
it.
you're in Cure Bolly, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm in Kabuli. Yeah, Kabuli all over.
I don't know what I'm wearing. Nothing, I think.
It'll not be it'll not be.
You've got
metal, I wouldn't be
3-point
surprised.
armor, so you have Kabuli or stiff leather with soft leather padding, whichever you prefer.
Thick leather.
So yeah, that's basically the briefing. No, Rhys is grabbing a spear. You also, if you remember, as part of your mercenary contract, you have 500 Lunars worth of training. It will take. You can set that towards spell training. You can set it towards skill training, or you can set it towards stat training. So basically, if you want to increase your strength, you do weightlifting. If you want to increase your charisma, you go to Rosy Palm's House of Delicate Delights in Pavis and practice your charisma. No?
Nope, I think we are good. We shall.
No, I'm good.
I want to find this little shit and kill him.
Yeah, take plenty of flasks of oil because we're going to burn them out.
Right, the main thing about swamps is they're kind of wet. And the main thing about wet things is they don't really burn that well. You can throw oil and it'll float on the top and set fire to stuff, but...
No, I'm in about on the island in the lair.
Right, okay then. So...
Just like Norm.
I don't know if anybody can move that. Can you move that, Ryan, or not?
Nope.
Just me.
I can't move it.
No.
What we talk about, the party thing.
Yeah.
I'll move it. No.
Yeah, I was just checking if I could change the controlling thing, but I can't. So, what we'll have to do is... Ryan's technically leader. We'll have to throw a Ryan token on there. Whoa, Godzilla! Ryan's like Godzilla sized. Right, that's you, Ryan.
It's a big ass token.
You crop into there you go.
There we go.
Right, so you decide if you hold down Alt, it doesn't automatically clip to the square. So,
Yeah.
where are you planning on landing?
Well, I think we should
Obviously,
check
discuss
out the ruin
it with the
outside,
other people, but as
okay.
as voted party leader, you get final say.
We should check the ruin first.
Yes. And I think the best place to I can't move that token, but also the best place to kind of land would be that like on the south side, the little inlet that's next to the path.
According to this, you can, bizarrely.
Nope.
What if you drag your own one on?
Yeah, try dragging your own token on. Roll 20 strikes again.
Can I make it? Yeah, I can move that, but how can I make this smaller somehow?
Oh, do you know what I did? I dragged it onto the map layer. That's why, because I'm a nugget. Yeah, if you hold down Alt and then just use the drag bars, you'll have to hold down Alt as well, because when you're moving it, it'll just snap to.
Oh yeah, I know that. Yeah.
Right,
yeah,
so
that's probably like the best, because like the shortest path to get to the dirt track that's towards the less bog that would have to traverse potentially. What do you guys think?
Aye.
Good idea.
Andy, it seems like you're the survival expert here. They're like, what, you're wrong. You just walk over it, man.
Well, I was just going to say, do you want me to go ahead a bit and try and find a bit of firm ground? And if I drag the end of a rope with us, and then
Yeah.
all right, the rest of you will be plodging. But you know, if I can tie the rope off somewhere, you can sort of pull yourselves along it.
Yeah, sure. I've got a 30-meter rope. I'll hand you, so you can have an advance.
Right. In that case, can I find a bit that's a little bit firmer underfoot for all these non-web feet people, and somewhere I can tie the end of this rope off?
Well, you're not there yet. It's just, you're just sort of, I'm asking
The
you,
planning
the planning
before
stage.
we leave, I think.
Yeah. Right, so can you folks give me some intrigue rolls, please? And
Dun, all right.
we'll see if you intrigue and see if you've heard anything around the camp.
Intrigue. Oh, what's the chances? None whatsoever.
Wow, I failed. That's a surprise. There we go. I'd
That's
roll
more like
Baldwin, but I feel I shouldn't. So
Because Bobbin succeeds at everything. You're like, we'll all just go home. We'll just send Bob and just
also
drop the loot
figure
off.
with having like 5 PCs, it's probably a bit much to be rolling like tons of people worth of stuff.
Right, also Rhys, because you weren't here for the actual mercenary contracting, basically any goods and money you seize goes to the Duke. Then it's split into shares. The Duke gets some, the leader gets 3 shares, and everybody else gets 1 share each. Items, the Duke decides whether anybody gets them allocated. But basically the party decided that the extra 2 shares that Kane was going to be put together in a party kitty.
Yeah.
Fine.
If you're okay with that.
Fine. Yeah. Don't bother me.
Right, so you ask around the camp, and all you hear is the ducks surprise small boats, chase off the 1 to 2 boatmen, then loot the skiff at their leisure. They've masqueraded as a merchant party at first, but nobody's filled now. And that's about it. Unfortunately, due to your terribly awful intrigue skills, you're all just obviously straightforward, upstanding guys.
Yeah. Must be. Even though I've had a run in.
Right, so 2 days pass. Everybody gets up, has breakfast, you spent yesterday training or singing, doing whatever it is you want to do. Oh, I forgot to. Everybody got a riding skill increase roll as well. We'll do that between, because you spent so much time sitting in the saddle. You were sore and you're pretty bad at it, but you're learning. So the newtling, the newtlings are in the water and around the boats. A couple of them steer the kind of Egyptian reed boats. The Duke comes out with his mercenaries. They're all clad in thick leather with lots of melee weapons. They're not carrying many missile weapons, because obviously trudging through the swamp, they're probably going to be useless. And the little flotilla sets forward and heads towards the southern border of the bog. Right, so can you give me, I would like everybody to roll a boat and everybody to roll a survival, and I want like 3 successes, I'm going to say.
Boat and survival.
I failed both beautifully.
You failed survival.
I'll be down there somewhere. There it is.
Aren't you supposed to be a...
Right, Chris succeeded his boat roll. He's getting the hang of this.
How's your survival only 10%? Isn't that a thing
I
that you
missed
do?
it.
Ah, okay.
Right, so everybody fails a survival, you all die. Okay, we'll roll some new characters up next week. You all fall into the water, you're drowned, and Earl's standing on Ryan's head trying to keep above water. And... No, I'm just kidding. Right, in that case, basically you travel downriver. Yeah, I just call that a resounding failure. The only success was Rowallen and his survival, and Chris at his boat roll. Right, so you soar out of your depth. No pun intended on these boats. You almost fall in the water. You feel a bit seasick. You can't get your footing, and then there is at a certain point you notice you get almost to the part of the swamp where you're heading. You notice that there's no sounds of insects or birds or anything, and then there's a flurry of sling stones come firing out of the reeds on the side of the...
I'll duck, no pun intended.
I'll watch the arc of the first thing and shoot a fire arrow straight at the place that it came from.
Goes all fire arrow on your asses. Right, so the first one you get 1 each, but there's a large volume of sling stones come firing into the massed people on the boat. The first person is Earl.
Yeah.
He did. No, you miss. Right, the second person is Bracy. Misses again. The third person is Ryan. And the miss. Oh, critical on Andy in the right arm. Right.
Hiya.
Right. Andy's right arm, there's a sickening crack as the sling stone, because you've got... are you wearing your 3-point armour? You cure bolly? You'll be alright. Sorry, well, armour, criticals ignore armour. So you take 9 points to the arm.
Ow.
It can only take double the number of hit points. So Andy suffers a broken arm as he's hit right at the elbow. And there's a sickening crack, and he falls to the ground, screaming in pain, well, quacking in pain, and he falls to the floor of the boat. And finally, Rhys, success. Right, you're hit for 9 points in the abdomen. On your character sheet, if you have a look, yeah, on the main page at the top.
On my abdomen is 7
Yeah.
HP.
But yours wasn't a critical, so you subtract your armor. So your AP is 3, so you only take 6 damage, and you've got 7 hit points. So where it says wounds 0 + 0, you just put 6 in there. So you have not, right, you've taken a serious hit in the knackers, but you fall over double, but you haven't collapsed to the deck. As a sling stone hit you right in the plums.
Nice.
Right, so you reduce that, and then you reduce your main hit points, which is a bit further down. Oh no, it's automatically done it. So you've gone from 19 to 13 hit points. Right, you've only got 1 point left in the abdomen, so that means you've taken a really bad hit in the spuds, and he collapses to the floor. Right, so Andy collapses and Rhys collapses. Can you, people who have not been injured, please make me a scan roll?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, we're on the ball. Right. You see a rustle of weeds, and what you could swear was a newtling riding a giant frog, hopping through the reeds into a deeper part of the river.
I'll shoot it with a fire arrow.
Right. Earl casts a spirit magic spell. His arrow bursts into a giant gout of flame, streaks through the air. Do you want to make a roll?
I do. I just need to remember where that is. Oh, it's on. I need my little man on.
You need your little man. You can actually do it from the character sheet. If you click on your character sheet and then click on attributes and abilities, your macros are all there on the right hand side.
Ah.
Those are the little macros I made for you. Right.
18. It's 3d6 damage though, isn't it?
It's 3d6 damage, yes, for fire arrow. Right, there's a great streak of flame as it disappears through the right, there's a howl, and there's, you know, when a fire's just go out and you stamp on it and the sparks go everywhere, there's a howl, there's a big gout of flame as Earl's fire arrow connects, and something like leaps, and it doesn't leap, it falls and spins off the back of this frog and lands into the water with a splash. But you're talking, this frog, the frog's like about the size of a mule, if not bigger. But Earl manages to tag one in the left arm, and the newtling spins off and lands with a crash into the water. So,
Little fecker.
now what would you like to do?
Well, I was going to go for scream obscenities, but I think I will just prepare, draw another arrow and wait.
You can dive into the water. How's your swimming skill?
Yeah, it sounds like a really bad idea, don't do it.
What is my swim?
No, I know. Don't do it.
Yeah, we nearly got him dry
16.
around there,
No, we're not diving in the water.
Yeah, I'm just gonna draw my shield and have a javelin at the ready. But I'm not gonna.
Right. It seems like there was an ambush of the and I'm making air bunnies again. Enemy newtlings. Right. Okay. What are you going to do about Andy and Rhys, who are lying on the floor going? Well, Andy's going, me arm, me wing, me feckin' wing, and Rhys is going, I am me nut.
I'll go cast heal on Andy.
I'll get Bulb to heal Rhys. Since he can do that, I think.
He can now. You're not in combat.
So just
The ripples disappear. The Duke's Newtons dive in the water, and they drag the one that Earl tagged out of the water and throw him on a boat at your feet, right? Sure, you're technically leader, and also that means that if anything goes horribly wrong, it's your fault. Have you not noticed that? Even though Earl's the one that talks, you're the one that's going to get in it.
I had noticed that actually, and I was starting to enjoy it.
It's like, I'm going to cause all this chaos, but he's the leader.
Okay, take him in hand. Have you tried?
Right, so, Rhys, healing. You can cast healing on yourself repeatedly until you are back to full health. But for each point of damage, you have to use 1 point of healing. So you cast heal 2 on yourself, and you reduce your current magic points by 2, which is your little blue bar. So you would go on your character sheet.
Yeah.
And for each 2 points of healing, you've got a magic point thing somewhere.
Just trying to find me magic point thing.
Oh, it's
I'll
on the right side, magic points and storage. But all I was going to say is that I could get Bulb in here and use his magic points first.
Yeah, well, you can do that, but I'm just trying to explain the mechanics as we're going along, obviously, yeah. So how many points is Bourbon going to heal?
I mean, he can heal all of it. He'll use 9 magic points to heal him, because it makes no sense someone else using it if they've got magics for like protection and such for themselves.
Right, okay then. And what about poor Andy?
I'll
Yeah, I think,
throw
yeah.
some points in him.
I'll stick 2 points through me matrix on Andy.
Right, so when we bring your little tokens onto the board, you'll reduce your little blue bar. We'll show you how to reduce your magic points, so you can keep an eye on that. So you basically you're healing each other up to full. Yeah.
Thank you kindly, chaps.
Slings hurt, strangely enough. Right.
Did Rhys take 9 damage?
No, Andy took 9 damage and broke his arm. Rhys took
6.
6 points in the abdomen because he had armor on, but it wasn't crit.
So Bourbon's down to 8 magic points. Good old Bourbon.
Right, they drag this Newton, which has got this horrific burn wound in its arm. Its arm hangs limply. All the flesh is cauterized. And they throw the Newton at your feet, Ryan.
Got the little bastard.
Grab him. Like how big is this Newtling?
Newtons are about size 9 to size 12. They're pretty short, pretty small.
Grab him and put me sword to him, I guess, and ask him. Are there more of you?
There'll be one fucking less of them in a minute.
He says, "No, my brothers, they have gone. We will be back though."
Oi, shithead! This is the king of the Newtlands, and I'll point at Matt.
Right, reputation roll, please, Bracy.
Okay.
What is your reputation?
If I can find it.
Right at the top of your character sheet on main, underneath occupation. You click the first little rune icon and that will make a roll.
10.
He says, "I've never heard of this man." He's got a bit of a lisp because he's got a forked tongue.
He has rescued the Newtlands of the Rainbow Mounds and slain the evil god that ruled over them.
He says, I don't know these people. They're not my tribe. So what do? You're just going to wave your sword at him in an impressive but threatening manner.
Have
Sorry,
you
I was getting a
seen
drink.
any ducks around here?
He sort of looks over at Andy.
Look the other way, mate. All right.
Any other ducks?
Right, well, make an intimidate roll then, whoever's intimidating them.
I'm great at this.
You go, and if you don't tell us, I'm going to hide your fluffy slippers and I'm going to put your fire out. Right, okay, you're not very intimidating to this Newland. He can't spit at you because he hasn't got any lips, but he flicks his forked tongue at you.
If you don't tell us if there's any more ducks around here, chop off every single your to kick him in the balls.
They don't have external balls, but I get what you mean. Go on then. Go on then. Give us a intimidate roll, Chris.
We're not a very intimidating bunch, apparently.
You don't talk about it. You just do it, don't you?
Nah, fuck it. I'll just spin my sword and cut his head off and kick him in the water.
Right, its headless corpse falls backwards into the river. It slowly sinks, blood seeping out into the water.
I'll turn around and say, this is why we never make friends.
Yeah, well, we don't make friends, okay? We're not very good at that.
We should have kept that head and mounted it on the bow of the boat.
Okay, that duck is quacked up. Right, so yeah, you heal everybody up, and you pull the skiff over to the point where Kane is. It's quite infirm, but Andy can walk over that no problem to the path.
Right. I've got a pitten and rope that I've given, and I think you were saying that you wanted to go find like more firm land, right, Andy?
Yeah. If I take the end of the rope and I
Right,
can
there's a
find
giant duck appears.
Ba-ba!
Bam!
Tiny duck.
Right, Andy, when you move, and you'll have.
Duckzilla!
Oh, I've broke Andy. I need to delete him now.
He's really small.
He's now flat.
He's been squished.
I can't even select him. I've made him so flat. I will change the scale, but this was just, it wasn't supposed to be an actual map. This is just a right, we'll put Duckzilla back.
I'll move me out of the way.
There you are, Andy. So you now move yourself, but you'll have to hold down Alt so you don't automatically. Oh, hang on. Can I change that on the map display? I think I can.
Right.
Snap the grid. Yes, no.
Let's see.
Right, I think it can
That
move.
works. Yeah, you can just move it
Yeah,
freely.
just move it freely now. I've turned off snap the grid. Right, so Kane, you represent the boat. And Andy, you just walk over the sodden ground to the path. The path actually seems to be reasonably solid. Them big clumsy people should be able to walk on it, no problem.
Right. I'll motion them over to where the path is, and I'm not speaking, but I'll just indicate that they should be able to walk on it.
Right, on the path they can, but there's a short distance of about 3 meters of swamp where they'll have to plodge.
Yeah. Well, I'll hold on to the end of the rope and brace myself so they've got something to hang on.
I love this. There's a size 8 duck. There's a size 17 human being, and he's going, sorry, if you sink, I'll pull you out.
Hey, I'm size 16.
Oh, sorry.
Don't be sizist.
Right. Okay. Ryan gave me a strength ×5 roll if you're going first. This is like really not a skill, so don't take this as a, because that little house thing is an actual full building.
Oh, that's not a strength ×5. I mean, is that a strength ×5 roll?
You just click on your strength.
Yeah, it was. Sorry.
Right. Kane manages to slog through the brackish water. You sink down to just above your knee, but you manage to slog out, and you're standing on the path next to Andy.
That happened with the rope.
Right. What about the rest? Oh, right.
I'll jump.
Right. There is a dinghy frantically rowed by Newlands. Come up. The rest of your party's down here, because you're making first landing. Because obviously you're the expendables. A dinghy full of Newlands rows up to the Duke's skiff, where he's standing with all of his mercenaries and his big magic sword. Right, the Duke then boards the messenger craft, and the messenger craft turns around and flies off with the Duke and only 2 bodyguards. One of the other mercs shouts, "The Duke's wife's taken ill. He must go to her." He said, "Carry out his orders as if he was here himself."
Okay.
You're like, okay.
Convenient.
Right, okay. So next up, what's happening? You chaps decide. Ryan and Andy
I'm gonna
are
jump off the
standing
boat.
on the path. Right.
Try to get on land.
Suppose I'll slog it over there.
Oh,
I'm huge.
that's what all the girlies say. Right, so you're on a boat. You lot are on a boat about here. Right, are you just gonna wait across?
Oh, I'm jumping. And failing.
Right, so please, you gentlemen, give me strength ×5 rolls as you slog through the swamp.
What about the jump there?
So jump, roll a strength ×3, Earl, I think, just to mess with you.
Made it.
Awesome. Right, Chris just slogs through the mud without bearing any problems at all. Just looks at you as if to say, why are you like thigh deep in sticky, goopy mud?
I look like I'm looking for tracks in amongst the sticky.
Yeah, good luck with that one, okay? Critical. I know exactly where they are. They're over there, underneath that bush. So finally, it's just McLovin. Are you going to slug through the mud?
I'll try and jump. Oh,
Yes.
Right. Okay. Strength ×3. Please fail it.
yeah.
Just roll down 100 if you. There is a way to do it by clicking on the second thing and putting in a modifier, but just roll down 100. It wouldn't work out. Strength ×3. Right. Okay. You jump in the swamp. You narrowly avoid thingy. 1 foot goes in way deeper than the other one. And as you're pulling it out, it slowly comes out while it's sucking on your leg. And you're like, quicksand! There's quicksand!
I'll walk over and pull him out.
You drag him out, but now you discover that the swamp is also littered with quicksand and various other swampy badness. Right, so you make it to the path. It's, as you can imagine, just a big swamp. Where would you like to head?
Let's head towards the ruin to the south. Follow the path down.
Let the duck go first.
I'll keep a close eye out. I'm literally, I've got my bow drawn and I am ready to be.
Right,
Got
so
my shield out.
can we? Right, so you're walking down the path. Can you put it into a rough order of who's walking here?
Right, well, I'll go first and I'll sneak down the path. Hang on. I want to be about there, don't I? If everybody wants to join in.
I'll be slightly behind him, just to.
Well, let me go behind and I'll sneak as well.
Okay.
Right, and so is everybody attempting to sneak?
No, I'm not. I'm not going to try that. It's too much effort. Are you behind Quacktavish?
Yeah.
Or do you want to move yourself behind Quacktavish? I think Richie asked for a
Sorry.
Yeah, I need a rough idea of who's walking in what order.
I'm gonna be in the middle.
It's a very fine place to be because they always either ambush you at the front or behind, so you can't go wrong with that.
I'm going to try and move quietly.
Right, okay. Those sneaking, you can give me a roll for sneakery.
I made my sneakery. Didn't make
So
me
did I.
hidery.
You did not make your hidery. Right, you approach the
But I
ruins.
made me
The ruins are a roughly square building. They are only maybe 3 or 4 bricks high sticking out of the swamp. They're about a square, maybe 15 meters square. There seems to be an outer wall and then a lower inner wall.
One thing to note whilst I'm moving, I'll use a javelin to stab into the floor to test for like quicksand areas as I go.
Right, well, as long as you stay on the path.
Oh yeah, I'm just making sure that there isn't just like suddenly quicksand.
Right, so you approach the low walls of the outskirts of the building. You can't see anything from out here. It's all quiet and there's
I will
nothing.
cast detect enemies.
Right, I'll cast detect enemies. There's nothing happens. You don't see any enemies at the moment, Earl?
I shall cautiously and quietly approach and very carefully look around.
Right, are you going in first, are you?
I'll go with them.
If the ground's solid, yeah, I'll go towards. If there's like a wall, I'll go towards the side of the wall and then look over it if I can. But I'm going to listen as well. I'm going to be really.
Right, it does seem quite solid. You step over a low part of the wall. And you and Andy, can you both please make me a power time 5 roll and see who succeeds the best?
Hang on, power times 5. Remind us how I do them again.
You just click on, it might be on your bar actually, if you click on yourself.
I succeeded by 4.
Oh no, you're not. On your character sheet, just where your power is, you just click on the little rune next to it.
Power is. Oh, aye. There you go.
Right, you succeeded by 10. So Earl, you are the least lucky. Right, and an ear-splitting Keenan wail breaks out when Earl steps into the inner part of the building. It's like it's literally such a devastating howl that you can feel it clawing at your soul. There's a kind of spectral figure materializes right next to you, Earl. It is your undetected enemy, and it's tendrils, for want of a better word, of this fog-like substance it's made of, wrap around you, and really, really bad things happen. Oh lordy! Right, you can feel the ice in this burst into your soul. Right, it does half of it. It does 9 points of damage to your strength. Right, you
Holy shit!
you feel the cold. The tendrils go through your flesh and they like wrap around your bones, and you can feel your bones inside your body freezing. Right, you all see this. You see this foggy thing howling, screaming, envelops half of Earl, and he starts howling in pain and thrashing about.
I'm gonna run away.
I'll cast Disrupt on the the thing. Sorry.
It's definitely not a sort of corporeal thing that I could belt with a sword, this, is it?
It doesn't look like it, but
No.
so I was gonna go with Disrupt and see if that affects it.
Right, okay then. So can we have a roll of agony for Earl? So if you click on your token,
Yes.
yeah, and I will reset the token thing. Hang on. Remove all turns, clear, add custom label, round, +1. Right, if you click on your token and then click initiative, this is nothing. In the original book before the change of Earl, it did something like 32 points of damage instantly, and like
Shit.
literally instantly killed almost anybody, unless you previously had like 15 points of spirit block up, it just killed people. And I was like, that can't be right, but luckily they've toned it down.
Thank.
Yeah, Earl, you explode. It's like, what? Right, okay, so first up is Kane. What would you like to do, sir? Are you casting Disrupt?
I want to cast Disrupt because it doesn't look like
Earl falls to
physically
his knees
hurt
in
the thing.
pain. It looks like these tendrils are like into his flesh, like wrapping around his bones and like poking out the other side, and he's just screaming and howling. Right, so you're casting Disrupt, yes?
Yep.
Okay, so if you please give me a battle magic roll, which is power times 5.
I failed, so never mind.
Right, fizzles. Next up, we have McLovin. What would you like to do, McLovin? You're all in quite close range because you're only a couple of meters apart, so you can either close to range, you can run away, you can cast a spell, whatever you feel like you're doing. Bear in mind, this is wrapped around Earl, so whatever you're going to do it carefully.
I'm going to close to range just in case it can be hit, but I'm going to try and not put myself between, the target and the rest of the party.
Right.
So, I don't know, I'll probably be around there-ish sort of thing.
Right, but you're not actually doing anything. You're just standing over Earl, looking at him going,
No.
that looks like it hurts, Earl.
If I can close to range and try and actually take a swipe at the tendrils just to see if they can be hit, I'll
Yeah.
do that.
Give it an axe roll, my son.
Yeah, hit something.
Right, you take a swing, and it goes straight through the tendrils that sort of rift apart a little bit, but then reform together. You do feel a slight resistance. It's not as if there's nothing there. There's a slight resistance. Right. Next up, we have Crowland screaming and rolling around on the floor, going, "Ah!"
Can I cast fire arrow and stab it with it?
You can try. You certainly can. You can give it. It wouldn't do much damage though, because it doesn't have the. You won't do the full 3d6 damage, but I'll let you do a d6 fire damage. So
Worth a try.
give it a power times 5 roll.
Yeah.
Right. Earl manages with great effort to grab an arrow out of his quiver. He casts fire arrow and then stabs the thing. Make a fist roll, I would imagine. A brawl or a fist. I can't remember which if I've updated your sheet.
Nope.
No, right. Earl flails around with the fire arrow, but he doesn't actually manage to do anything to it. Next up, we have Mr. Quacktavish, who was standing right next to Earl, and only by 6 points of luck, it wasn't the one that was savagely attacked by a vicious ethereal being.
Right, I've got to ask a question at this point. On me little bar of macros, what's spirit combat?
Right, spirit combat is where you literally fight using your mind on the spirit plane. Unfortunately, unless you're a shaman, you can't initiate it. Only a spirit can initiate it. So that's basically for defending yourself.
Right, I just thought I'd ask. Well, in that case, I'd better pull me sword and fire up me fire blade.
That sounds like a plan to me, sir. Okay, give me a power times 5 roll.
Oh, hang on. Power. There we are.
Right, so you can't attack this round. However, Rue Allen pulls out his short sword, and the whole thing, the blade bursts into gigantic like flames, almost white hot. It's like, yeah, gotta get some. Next up, we have Chris. What would you like to do, Chris? You see what's going on?
Only because you mentioned it. Can I cast Spirit Block?
You can cast Spirit Blocks, yes.
Can I put it on Croydon?
You can, yeah. It's touch, but you'll have to step forward and touch him, and you can put Spirit Block on him. So you, on your character sheet, you need a power times 5 roll to successfully cast, because it's in a stressful situation. So you just click the little rune that's next to your power, the first one on the left hand side.
You what?
Right, open your character sheet.
Yeah.
Go down to characteristics. And where it says power, there's a little thing that looks like a table. Click on that and it'll give you a power times 5 roll.
Left one or right one?
The left one. The right one's for ones with modifiers. Right. Unfortunately, you're so rattled by what you've seen, you failed. You can try again next round, or you can do something different. Alright. End of round. So, Beastie gets to go now.
Can I disengage from it anyway?
Or
is it literally stuck in me?
No, it's stuck in here. The ethereal tendrils are actually wrapped around your bones inside your body.
Ow.
And it's a freezing cold.
Ow.
Right, so you're going to take another attack. Success. So
Can I dodge?
you don't explode. No, you cannot dodge. What happens is you take two points of damage. And you go, is that all? Is that all? To your right arm. Sorry. You take 2 magic. You lose 2 magic points.
Okay.
Okay, and then you lose 4 points on your right arm. So it's draining you magically and physically. Right, Earl's screaming. There's no blood coming out.
I take it me armor isn't protected.
No, there's no protection from armor. And this is the toned down one. You should have seen the pre one. I was like, how's anybody supposed to find this? Right, next up, round 2. Earl is screaming and dying. Right, have you reduced your little bubbles, Earl? Because I want us to see you dying. Right, Kane, what do you want to do?
Same again.
What were you actually attempting to do?
I'm just going to disrupt the spirit thing that's trying to.
Right, go on then.
Success. And that's 1d3 damage, right?
It is, yeah.
Two damage. Do I need to roll hit location with these, or is it just the body of the spirit is up?
No, it's just the body of the spirit. Ooh, it's got you, Earl. It's got you, look.
Oh, like it. Did that hurt it?
How much damage you do?
2. There's
Sorry.
something.
Fire mass disruptions. Right, McLovin. This is not the scale. We're just using the battle map so we can have the characters on the thing. So you're standing right next to Earl, effectively, who's enveloped by the spirit.
I will cast Reflection 3 on Earl. If that's going to help.
But you don't know, but you can certainly try. Right, reflection, is that a spirit magic or is that a
Rune magic?
right? I don't think that will be appropriate, but you can do it.
Oh, okay. Well, I've just read the thing. Might be. I don't know.
If you'd had it up first, but like I said, it's inside him. It's inside him. It's inside him, Bracy. It's killing him from the inside. Right? You just see Earl's right arm, right, where he's took the whole load of damage. You know, when you see in this freaky horror movie, it just sort of breaks from the inside with like no external thing. And Earl's like on his knees, screaming in pain. Drops the arrow, which goes out instantly as soon as you leave go.
Don't worry, Earl. We'll cut it out of you.
Yeah, hurry up!
Okay, I will cast Disruption on it.
Right, okay.
If Reflection's not going to work.
It may have worked before it was inside Earl, but now what you're after is a morning after pill. You're not after the the preventative. Right, go for it, old son. No, it's spirit combat. That's not power times 5 yet. Right, you succeed. You roll a D3 damage.
Oh, 1d3. Where's d3?
Just do a slash roll 1d3. 2 damage, eh? 2 damage, you say. It does hurt it. It's now a race. Who's going to die first?
I'll probably have to go in 10 minutes, just thought I'd mention.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no problem. Right, well, this will be over one way or another in 10 minutes, won't it, Earl? Right, Earl, you're up again. You've dropped the arrow as bones inside your arm.
I'm going to disrupt the motherfucker since that seems to be working.
Right, go on then.
You bastard, Yard! Kill you!
Ah, you swine!
Success. I need to do PvP, don't I?
Yeah.
It's just base percent now.
Yeah. Oh, nice one. Success, yeah.
Well, but a tick me power just in case I'm still alive
Well,
afterwards.
everybody's getting power ticks.
It's D6 after half it.
Yeah.
1 damage. Yep.
Right. Bits of its ethereal flakiness is falling away. Right, Andy, you stand there with a big, dangerous flaming sword. The bits of the wraith are coming away from it, so something's working on it.
Well, I'd better try and belt the wraith, hadn't I?
You had.
Now, hang on, I cannot remember. Is this Fireblade or Short Sword I roll on?
Just hit Fireblade, it's using your short sword skill automatically.
Right.
Ouch. Right. You.
Oh, thank God for that. It wasn't a fumble. Oh, God.
Yeah,
Right.
I was thinking.
Andy, you plunge the burning flame right into its chest. It screams, and huge chunks of it dissipate and break off and like float off, a bit like dandelion seeds. It looks barely cohesive, as you can see by its hit point bar. Right, Krish, you're the last person to act before the wraith does. What would you like to do?
I'm gonna go for disrupt.
Sounds good to me. Give me a power roll. Right, a success, and give me another power roll. Uh, 91, what's your power?
It's 14.
Right, that does not overcome its power, so it doesn't take any damage. Right, unfortunately, Earl, it's end of round. When bad things happen here, well, beginning of the next round, it attacks first. Ooh,
I don't like that.
Oh,
this
shit.
is gonna hurt so much.
2 criticals in 1 combat.
Ow, ow, ow,
That's
ow.
horrible.
Right, you lose 1 magic point and you take 2 points of damage to the head.
Ow,
Right,
I need that.
a blood vessel bursts in Earl's head, and his eye goes all bloodshot. Just a small bit of blood trickles out of his nose. Kian, you're up, sir.
Attempt to disrupt again. I will fail.
Okay, McLovin.
Disrupt again.
Right, you successfully cast disruption. You need to overcome its power. Roll another power roll. All the while, this thing is screaming blue murder. It must be being heard from miles around.
Yeah, I think they know where you.
Right, yeah, that's good enough. Roll your D3 damage.
Get millions.
I get 17,000.
That's not millions. It might be.
Right,
enough.
it does 1 point of damage. Let's see what happens. Oh my god, I'm so excited.
I'm so terrified.
Right, with the final screech, the being dissipates like a puff of smoke. Earl falls to the ground, falls to his knee, clutching his arm that broke from the inside. Blood runs down his face from his nose where the blood vessels burst in his head.
I'm gonna heal 2 straight away in my head.
Okay, right. So the mass disruption did finally work, although the Fireblade did help, to be honest.
Quite a bit. Ow! That really hurt.
Nicely done. I'll pat Quack Tavish on the back.
Very nicely done, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, Andy, you saved the day there, son.
I will cast Spirit Sight.
Well, detect enemies worked when it manifested.
Yeah,
it was
well,
definitely an enemy.
And manifest sight and have a look around the ruin. Make sure there's nothing else in there.
Yeah, no problem. Well, Ryan's going to go, so we're going to call it there. Is there any?
Yeah.
Are you just who's going to heal Earl? Because you'll be using obviously magic points up and.
I'll heal Earl.
I'll stick another 2 off me arm.
Have we not got Bob?
We do, but I left Bulbin on the boat.
Bobbin's on the boat. Is Feck and Dag on the boat as well?
No, he's with me.
Oh, I was hoping you were going to say, I'll send Feck and Dag in to examine the ruins. Feck and Dag explodes.
Nah, I need to make sure my next character needs to be safe when I die. So
It needs to be what?
safe.
Yeah, he's going to play Feck and Dag.
But I'm going to play the dog.
I'm literally not playing your characters for you, but you've like totally not used your luck runes, and they refresh every session. Remember?
I know. I was about to say, can I re-roll one of your rolls like that crit? And then it was only a little bit of damage. I thought, I'll take it.
And
I thought they replenished every. Don't they replenish every adventure?
No, every session you get 1 luck point.
Ah, okay. I didn't know it was every session.
Because you're heroes, man. You're heroes in training. 0 to hero in no time flat. Right, so we'll stop there. You heal up and then we'll deal with the aftermath afterwards. Okay, lads? Good sesh. Loved it.
Good sesh. That was really good, Rhys, by the way.
Thank you.
It takes a little bit of getting used to, but it's genuinely, the longer you do it, the more fun it gets, because you get more used to just what silliness you can get away.